In the Raksa Empire, the four great ducal families with special abilities held more power than the emperor. In each of these four families, only one person per generation could inherit this special ability. Beastification, Serdia, all-seeing eye, Galawile, Ludwig, freezing, Sigismund. Although these abilities allowed them to become the glorious heads of their ducal houses, as they continuously used their powers, their bodies would gradually accumulate accursed miasma, leading to an early death. The only one who could purify the miasma was a Lydiome, who possessed the soul healing ability. This little girl on the run is the reborn Lydiome. That's right, she has already died once. Little Letty muttered, I really wish this was all a dream. I don't want to live that life again. Going back to her previous life, as soon as her mother passed away, her uncle sold her to the slave market. For the next 10 years, she lived in hell. A man pointed and roared, You useless freeloader who only consumes food. You have to act obedient to be sold. A man said, Must a precious child suffer in a place like this? Little one, come with me. Little Letty thought she had found salvation. It turned out this man was Galawile. Galawile brought little Letty back to have her help purify his miasma. Little Letty often helped him purify the miasma, which took a toll on her body. But the man didn't care if she lived or died, only about his own body. No matter how much little Letty cried out in pain, Galawile continued without stopping. This gave little Letty the idea to escape. When Galawile learned of this, he was furious. He couldn't let the Lydiome escape, because the other dukes had also been coveting her for a long time. So little Letty grew up in pain, but she had reached the end of her rope. She prayed, God, please save me. When she woke up, everything had changed. Little Letty was confused. Why are my hands and body so small? A woman pushed open the door and shouted, Are you still not up? Your mother may be dead, but you'd better hurry up and make me breakfast. Little Letty muttered, Aunt, what's going on? Aunt said my mother passed away. But mother passed away when I was 7. How is this possible? But I can feel that this isn't a dream. I can even feel myself breathing. Could it be that I've traveled back in time? Now, little Letty had only one thought. Run it, I can't let my uncle sell me to the slave market. If I'm found by the Duke, the same future will repeat itself. So this time, I won't be used by him and die. Ouch, that hurts. I am sorry. This man is Ludwig. His subordinate grabbed little Letty and said, Master, please check if anything was stolen. Hey, hand that kid over to me. I was going to sell her tomorrow. Why did she suddenly run away? Ludwig stared at the little girl. She seemed very scared. The man asked, How old are you, little one? Little Letty said, I'm 7 this year. Ludwig extended his hand and asked, Do you want to come back with me? If you're willing. Little Letty was scared. If she agreed, would it be the same as her past life? But I'm sure I won't go with him. I'll be sold to the slave market by my uncle and meet that man, the all-seeing Galawile. Little Letty slowly spoke, Will you make me feel pain? Will you make me suffer? Hearing the little girl's words, Ludwig and his subordinate showed fierce expressions. Looking at the man before her, Ludwig then picked up little Letty. I swear, no matter what happens, I will not let you suffer. Little Letty was moved by his words and said she would go with him. Ludwig said, Gede, I'll leave the rest to you. The man shouted, What the hell? Where are you taking someone else's niece without permission? Gede advised him to stop shouting. We could talk about whatever it is. Little Letty asked, Excuse me, which of the 4 great dukes are you? Ludwig asked, How did you know I was a duke? Little Letty explained, Because your clothes look very expensive. Ludwig chuckled, Quite smart for such a young age. I am Ludwig. Little Letty thought to herself, This man is Black Ludwig, the most famous family of assassins in the Empire. According to rumors, Black Ludwig was also known as a cruel murderer. Maybe he and Duke Galawile are the same type of person. I must stay vigilant now. I can't let him find out I'm a Lydiome. Because so much had happened in the morning, this body had reached its limit. She fell asleep. Ludwig chuckled. She's asleep. She's a smart child. Maybe she'll get along well with Derwin. On the way back, little Letty started crying. It turned out she was dreaming about her past experiences. Ludwig's heart ached. Such a small child. What has she been through all this time? Little Letty woke up with a start on the sofa. Who are you, little one? Hello, my name is Anna. This is the Duke Ludwig's residence. I work here. Little Letty noticed she had dirted the ducal family's sofa and hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry. How dare a slave like me dirty the sofa? Anna was surprised. Such a young child calling herself a slave. What had she been through? Suddenly, little Letty's stomach rumbled. Anna said gently, It seems you're very hungry. I'll go get you something to eat. You should rest for now. Little Letty thought, Not only did I sleep in the carriage, I also dirted the sofa. I absolutely cannot be disliked. Once I turn 14, I can go out and work, right? Father brought back another useless thing. Little Letty looked at the boy, so young, yet a pile of miasma had already accumulated in his body. If he's the ability user of the Ludwig family, then he must be Derwin Ludwig. He must be in great pain. No, I have to pretend I don't know. Anna said, "Young master, when did you arrive?" Derwin said coldly, "What's it to you?" Anna could only lower her head and apologize. Derwin turned his head and said, "Hurry up and give her a bath. She stinks." Anna asked, "Should we wash up after she eats?" Anna shouted, "Wow, were you always this cute?" Anna had gone completely wild. Jeed pushed open the door. "Anna, how's the little rascal the master brought back?" Where did the little rascal from the room go? Looking closely, he realized, isn't she right here? She's transformed into a little noble lady. "The master sent me to ask if you have a name. If not, the master will give you one." Little Letty thought about how her aunt and uncle had always called her freeloader. She didn't want to use her original name either. Little Letty said with a sob that she didn't have a name. The butler said, "Very well. I will tell the master and have him give you a name." Anna said, "Most of the people in the Duke Ludwig's household have received names bestowed by the Duke. For those who want to forget their past, it's a gift from the Duke. So, are you looking forward to a new life?" Jeed said, "That child became very cute after her bath. Please give her a beautiful name." According to my investigation, her uncle's actions go beyond abuse. For the child's future, please investigate this thoroughly. Ludwig asked, "How did her uncle come to adopt her?" The child's mother gave birth to her alone on the roadside. With nowhere to go, she had to live with her brother, a man named Tabor. The problem was, her mother's mental state was very poor. So she entrusted the child to Tabor's care. To make money, he would rent her out to beggars. When the child was old enough to communicate, he made her do all the housework. It's unbearable. The sound of Tabor beating the child every morning was everyone's alarm clock. According to Anna, the child felt that as a slave, she couldn't dirty the sofa, so she just kept standing. "Jeed, give this to the child tomorrow morning. Don't open the envelope before then. Let her read the name inside herself. Only then will it become hers. And that scum named Tabor, right? I understand." In bed, little Letty thought, they're a family famous for assassination. I thought they would be terrifying, but they seem more humane than I imagined. At that moment, Derwin had already come to her room. Little Letty wondered how he got there. She wasn't asleep, yet she hadn't noticed him. Derwin spoke, "Hey puppy." Little Letty was stunned and replied, "Why are you calling me puppy?" "Because your hair looks like a dog's fur." "Strange. Why aren't you afraid of me? I could kill you silently, just like this at any time." Little Letty knew he was bluffing, because she could distinguish the killing intent of an ability user. It was a crimson aura like blood, but she couldn't see it on Derwin. Little Letty said, "Please don't hurt me." Derwin was surprised. "What the?" Her expression doesn't look scared at all. It turned out Derwin was testing little Letty's courage, because all the children his father had brought back were scared away by him. Derwin said, "Get out of here first thing tomorrow morning." Little Letty asked, "Why do you want me to disappear?" Derwin stated that he disliked humans. In the morning, little Letty was still thinking about what Derwin had said, because in her past life, she hadn't carefully inquired about the other families. Anna watched her eat with a smile on her face. "How are you so cute even when you eat? Is it good? Want some more?" Jeed called out, "Hey, cute little rascal, your new name is here." Little Letty said, "Is my new name in here? Is there a mistake? It says TRIs. Ludwig." Anna was shocked that my goodness you can read. The butler said, "Miss, congratulations on your new identity." Ludwig pushed open the door. "It's so lively in here." "Did she read the name?" Ludwig said, "She is indeed very cute, haha." Little Letty asked, "Duke, may I ask you something? Why does my name have Ludwig in it?" Ludwig asked, "Don't you like the name?" It wasn't that little Letty disliked it. She knew that the chance for a commoner to become a noble was truly rare. She felt that a family name was meant to bind her. No matter what she did, family was an excuse for them. Her uncle abused her daily. In her heart, there was no such thing as a perfect family anymore. In Gallowile at the beginning, he had also treated her like family. But in return, all she got were shackles. So she thought Ludwig was just like them, using family as a pretext to bind her. Ludwig asked, "What's wrong?" "If you don't like the name." Suddenly, little Letty started hiccuping. Bad memories resurfaced, triggering a stress reaction. Seeing this, Ludwig used his ability to calm little Letty down. Anna and Jeed were very surprised. Just to help this child, he used his ability so casually, even though he knew that using it would accumulate miasma and shorten his lifespan. Still, little Letty recalled her past life. Duke Gallowile had the all-seeing eye, which was how he discovered she was a Lediome. Could it be that Ludwig has also discovered that I'm a Lediome? It's too early to be sure. I'll just wait and see. Little Letty spoke up. I don't dislike the name. Ludwig picked her up. That's good. From now on, you will call me father. Little Letty never expected he would accept her as his daughter. After this, Gede found Ludwig. Is this really alright? If you adopt a commoner as your daughter, the other ducal houses will surely pay close attention to the young miss. Ludwig didn't care about those guys at all. What about the young master? Will he really accept suddenly having a younger sister? After all those children you brought back were scared away by the young master. Ludwig said, Derwin has a reclusive personality, but I believe TRIs will have a positive influence on him. Suddenly, the butler burst through the door, shouting, the young miss and the young master are gone. Little Letty didn't understand. As soon as he heard I became his sister, he seemed to get angry. Little Letty tugged on Derwin's sleeve. Brother, my feet hurt. Can we go back? Derwin asked, why should I? Your brother? And what does your foot pain have to do with me? Actually, just like you, I have things I hate. I really hate pain. Gede worriedly asked, Master, are you really going? It's already very late. You know that at night, the entrance to the forest closes and the inside turns into a maze. That's why we must hurry. Derwin can protect himself, but that child might not be able to. I brought her here. I must take full responsibility. Little Letty explained that she had once run away and almost died, but she survived. Derwin was shocked. How did you manage that? Little Letty replied, because I prayed to God for a wish. Derwin said helplessly, the God you speak of is really unfair, not listening to my wish. What did you wish for? Derwin turned his head. You don't need to know. He's only 9, yet he can make that kind of expression. What has he been through? Little Letty stroked his head. If you want, should I make a wish for you? Derwin said shyly, forget it. Who are you trying to comfort, you little puppy? Letty asked, brother, why did we run into the forest? Derwin said, I'm going to feed you to the monsters. What? Letty trembled. That you're not trying to kill me, are you? Derwin explained, no, I'm not trying to kill you. Little Letty couldn't hold it in anymore. She just wanted to live. Letty burst into tears. I didn't want to become your sister either. Derwin was at a loss. Okay, don't cry. I'm sorry. Suddenly, the trees in the forest began to move. Derwin looked at the sky. Damn, it's already this late. Suddenly, many monsters appeared in the forest. One monster opened its massive jaws, wanting to devour them. Derwin used his ability to take one down. Letty said, there are more behind us. Derwin used his ability again. It was clear that Derwin's power was reaching its limit. Derwin instructed, Puppy, if more monsters appear, don't worry about me. You must escape. If you can last until morning, you can get out of the forest. After saying that, Derwin collapsed from exhaustion. Little Letty said, what should I do? He has too much miasma in his body. But I can't just leave him. For little Letty now, there was only one way for them to save themselves. To use the purification ability of a Lediome. But if she used purification, she would expose herself. How should she choose? Little Letty thought, my life already ended back then. So even if I'm locked underground, I'll have no regrets in this short life. Because with them, I finally have a real family. So I will save you, brother. Even though it was brief, thank you. Suddenly, a voice appeared at your Lediome. Little Letty was startled and demanded to know who was speaking. Many voices appeared. They were arguing about making a contract with the Lediome. The most dazzling light beside her said, as long as we make a contract with you, we can get out. Come on, take me to where you are. To your world. Little Letty asked, what have you all been talking about this whole time? We have to sign a contract quickly. Once the biggest star appears, it's all over. It's out so soon. Run. Little Letty was surprised that the big star spoke. No wonder I felt something was off. Now I get it. This isn't your first time. Little Letty heard the little stars say that the biggest star hates Lediomes. Whatever. I need to heal Derwin quickly. At that moment, Ludwig was surprised to see his children. Gede said, it's the young miss and the young master. Suddenly, a monster attacked the children. Seeing this, Ludwig strode forward. He and Gede blocked most of the monsters. Gede hurried to check on the children's condition. He breathed a sigh of relief. Thank God they're still alive. Ludwig said, it seems I have a lot to ask them when they wake up. Little Letty woke up and said, how come this isn't Sister Anna's room? Hearing the voice inside, Anna's worried heart was put at ease. Anna explained, you slept for a whole day. It seems you had quite a scare. Little Letty said, a whole day? What about Derwin? Anna laughed. He's been grounded by the master. Serves him right, huh? Meanwhile, with Gede, oh my, Is the young master still sulking? You took a helpless 7-year-old child to the monster forest. You deserve to be punished. Derwin explained, I'm not angry anymore. I was just... Did you say the young miss? I haven't checked on her condition this morning. What's wrong? Are you worried about her? Oh, he's getting flustered. Derwin roared, stop giggling and get out now. So annoying. Since the young master is too sad, I'll take my leave. Derwin was about to die of anger. Derwin could feel that in the past, whenever he used his ability, his heart would ache when he woke up. But this time, he didn't feel that at all. So he wanted to find out what little Letty had done to him while he was unconscious. Suddenly, a strange sound came from Derwin's balcony. Derwin said, Who's there? I'll take my anger out on you. If you don't want to die, get out now. It was little Letty coming to find Derwin. Derwin gave little Letty a piggyback ride. Did you run over here as soon as you woke up? And look how skinny you are. Derwin told her to go back, eat all the food Anna gave her, and fatten herself up like a pig. Little Letty said she understood. Put me down first. Also, you have to study. The thought of you being illiterate and still being my sister is terrifying. Little Letty had studied before. She explained, I can read, okay? Derwin said disdainfully, yeah, right? You're just a little lying puppy. Little Letty said with puffed cheeks, if you don't believe me, I'll read to you. Derwin laughed mockingly, wait, this dog looks like you. No, this one looks more like you. Little Letty thought she had to endure it and not get into a serious argument with a 9-year-old. Ludwig asked, what are you doing in there? Derwin, they're reading. This reminded Ludwig of his mother. His mother had also wanted Derwin to have a family member to accompany him, but things didn't go as planned. Derwin's mother, along with his unborn younger brother, left this world. Ludwig said, Derwin, your grounding isn't over yet, is it? Go back to your room immediately. Little Letty thought she would be blamed too. Ludwig knelt down and touched her forehead to see if she had a fever. Little Letty said, I'm very sorry for putting the young master in danger. Ludwig couldn't listen anymore. All right. Don't say things like that anymore. It seems I need to set some rules for you. First, no self-deprecating words. Second, the word slave is forbidden. Third, the word dirty is forbidden. Also, don't call me Duke anymore. Didn't I tell you to call me father? Because you're my daughter now. If you need anything, just call for Anna. Get some rest. To your eyes, little Letty said shyly. She had never called anyone that her whole life. Suddenly, a squirrel appeared. Finally, it's just the two of us. Little Letty was surprised that the squirrel was talking. The squirrel said, have you forgotten my voice? We met by the lake last time. Little Letty said, oh, it's you. That star. How did you become a squirrel? The star said angrily, it's because you fainted. I had to turn into this form to get close to you to make the contract. Little Letty said she fainted because she used too much energy. The star said, that's right. The power of a lediome is still too much for you. Little Letty asked, you know a lot about lediomes, huh? The star said, of course. I am the origin of the lediomes. I've existed since the beginning. First, this world is divided into two realms. One is the human world, and the other is the world of the tomb. That's where the forgotten stars sleep. The tomb was originally ruled by 6 great stars. However, one day, a dispute broke out among the stars. Because of this dispute, 4 stars came to the human world and entered human bodies. But the problem was, human bodies couldn't withstand the power of the stars. Another great star felt very sorry for those 4 stars. Wanting to alleviate the pain suffered by the humans who received the power, it connected the tomb and the human world with an intermediate zone. Little Letty said, is that zone the monster forest? After that, another great star descended by the lake. The first lediome was born in a human. Those 4 great stars could no longer leave the human world. Their power became very weak. In the end, they returned to the tomb and fell into a deep sleep. Later, the diluted power of the sleeping stars was passed down through human bloodlines. But the lediome is different. As soon as the previous generation's lediome passes away, that power returns and seeks a new host. If you say, the other stars directly enter and control a human's body, then a lediome is when the star's power indirectly descends upon a human. An existence created that way. Over time, a lediome gradually becomes unable to bear the star's power and suffers greatly. Making a contract with a lediome is the only way for the stars to leave the tomb. That's why they were so excitedly clamoring to make a contract with you. The problem is, when a Lediome uses its power, it consumes the power of that great star. Eventually, that guy also fell into a deep sleep. The star and the lake water are the conditions for a Lediome's contract. So, the Lediomes born after that guy fell asleep. However, if they use their power without a contract with a star, they will suffer a lot. Also, this is your second rebirth, isn't it? Don't be surprised. I can see all of that. Only that great star has the ability to turn back time. So I must find out why he sent you back to the past while he was sleeping. So, human, make a contract with me. Aside from becoming stronger, can you make it so I don't feel pain? As long as you have a contract with a star, you won't have to endure that pain when you use a Lediome's power. Little Letty said, okay, then I'll make a contract with you. I, Peytons, as one of the 6 great stars, hereby form a star contract with the Lediome. Little Letty found Ludwig, saying she had a favor to ask. Ludwig thought she was going to ask him to read to her. He asked, what is it to your eyes? Little Letty asked if she could keep a squirrel. Ludwig was disappointed, thinking she was going to ask for what he had imagined. He nodded and said, you are my daughter. You don't need to look at anyone's face. Little Letty was overjoyed. Thank you, father. Thank you so much. Ludwig was still immersed in her gratitude, unable to pull himself away. Afterwards, little Letty politely left Ludwig. Wait a minute, because he hadn't asked her what kind of place she wanted for the squirrel. This boy is the freezing ability user, Loban Sharp Siebesman. Loban Sharp asked Derwin, where did your commoner sister go? Derwin told him, if you came here to see her, then forget it. I already chased her away. Loban Sharp asked Derwin, really? Didn't your father adopt her as his daughter? Derwin told him not to worry about it. Anyway, she's not here now. You should go back. Loban Sharp noticed that Derwin's state was a bit strange. This woman praised, oh my, you're so cute and likable. Did the Duke decide to adopt you because you're so adorable? Little Letty said to Anna, isn't my identity supposed to be a secret for now? Anna smiled, but not in front of Trophy. She's also part of the Ludwig household. The master gives those people new names and new lives, and Trophy is one of them. Trophy is here to custom make beautiful dresses for the Duke's daughter. Anna shouted, Miss TRI's is all done. Let's have a young lady make her grand entrance. Jeed and Trophy were both stunned. She's simply a little angel. Trophy pushed little Letty to try on other clothes, and Anna followed closely behind. They went on like this from day to night. Trophy and Anna had seen their fill and let little Letty rest. They sent the clothes back, while little Letty was so exhausted she wanted to go home to her mom. Jeed told her that once Anna's enthusiasm erupts, it's unstoppable. Little Letty said everyone was so enthusiastic and she was really happy. Jeed laughed. Your happiness is the most important thing. Ha! Little Letty asked Brother Jeed why. Does he hate humans? Jeed explained, the young master does have a habit of disliking humans. It's probably because of the smell. When little Letty heard that Derwin hated smells, she remembered what he had said. Little Letty began to wonder if she really gave off such a bad smell. Little Letty remembered being in prison in her past life, being despised for her stench. Suddenly, the sound of things being smashed came from outside, making them instantly alert. It was an injured Anna who pushed open the door, saying someone outside had attacked her. Little Letty ran over to check Anna's injuries. Jeed told her not to panic, that Anna was fine. Don't be fooled by her appearance. She used to hang around the back alleys as a kid. Anna wiped her wound and said she was very strong. Anna told them that Trophy had been kidnapped. Jeed asked which faction had kidnapped her. A servant nearby explained that most of this year's fashion involved wolf pelts. Peytons asked what that meant. Wolf pelts? Wolves are practically the symbol of the Serdia family now. Peytons seemed to have discovered something. He tugged on little Letty's hair, saying he could feel the aura of another star. One of the 4 great sleeping stars is nearby. Let's follow it. After saying that, Peytons used magic. He made little Letty invisible. Little Letty left right in front of Jeed and Anna. Led by Peytons, she ran to the town. But the star's aura suddenly disappeared. Peytons was very worried about the 4 stars waking up. He told little Letty he would lend her his power so she could sense the star's location. He told her his own power couldn't be fully utilized in the human world and asked Letty to search for the star's trace in her mind. Little Letty pointed out where it was. Peytons praised her for finding it so quickly. Peytons went over and saw. What the heck? This isn't a star. It turned out little Letty had heard a wolf's howl and thought Trophy might be here. Peytons was helpless against her. He told little Letty to use her telekinesis to destroy the tires first, create chaos, and then snatch the woman. After saying that, Peytons lent her his power. Peyton's sensed something was wrong and told little Letty to wait. But little Letty's mind was filled with burn the tires, burn the tires. As a result, she accidentally sent the person, the wolf, and trophy flying. Peyton's exclaimed, "We're doomed." The man was furious and demanded to know who it was. Peyton's thought, "I didn't expect her to absorb so much more power than I intended to give her. Even if she is an ability user, to be able to control a star's power. Who is she?" Little Letty shivered in a corner. Suddenly, someone froze them all. Little Letty noticed it had become much quieter and turned to look. The newcomer was actually Loban Sharp Siebesman. He noticed there were still remnants. The remnant here referred to Trophy. He prepared to use his ability again. Suddenly, Loban Sharp saw a girl he would never forget. Little Letty stood up and explained that she knew Miss Trophy. Please don't freeze her. Little Letty tried to get closer, but because the road was covered in ice, her foot slipped. Just as little Letty was about to fall, her father appeared and caught her. Little Letty asked her father how he appeared here. Her father explained, "You were gone for a long time, so I came looking for you. I didn't expect to run into you here." And Loban Sharp, "Why are you here? Didn't you go back with your father?" Loban Sharp explained, "My ducal family's fashion designer seems to have been kidnapped, so I intended to save her." As Loban Sharp spoke, he glanced at little Letty. Loban Sharp hadn't expected to find such a cute girl here. At this time, Jeed and Anna also found little Letty. Ludwig told little Letty that Jeed and the others had arrived, that let's leave Trophy to them. Little Letty agreed. Little Letty clenched her fists. This was the first time she had used her power without feeling pain. Little Letty looked over. He reminded her of seeing him in the basement in her past life. Now that little Letty recognized his younger self, her feelings were a bit complicated. Loban Sharp, however, felt no complexity, because he had met the only girl who made his heart flutter. Fortunately, Serdia and Trophy had a good talk. Although the Serdia family values the symbolism of the wolf, their methods weren't so extreme before. It's probably because the eldest son didn't inherit the ability, but it was discovered in the second son, born to a mistress. The ability was discovered. From that perspective, our Ludwig family is so harmonious. Jeed told him, "The young miss seems to be able to display invisibility skills superior to that of an ordinary assassin. And even though she's had no education, she can read fluently. If she were to attend the Royal Academy next year, she would surely graduate at the top of her class. By that time, the young miss will probably become very beautiful." Ludwig was very pleased, but he didn't know if he would be able to see that sight. Derwin was just about to look for her, but she came over herself. Suddenly, little Letty covered her mouth and ran away. Derwin suddenly appeared and asked why she was avoiding him. Little Letty tried to escape, but was blocked by Derwin every time. Helpless, little Letty had to speak in a small voice. This made Derwin a little impatient, and he told her to speak up. Little Letty shouted, "Didn't you say I stink?" Derwin was a bit at a loss. He explained, "When did I say you stink?" Suddenly, a memory flashed through Derwin's mind. Derwin could only scratch his head in embarrassment. As long as a living being breathes, it will emit its own unique scent. The reason Derwin said he hated the smell of breathing was because he didn't want others to pity him, so he just made up a lie. After his mother passed away, everyone treated him like a fragile glass container, handling him with extreme care. It disgusted him. He felt that humans were so fragile. His mother lost her life just by being pregnant with him, so he had originally planned never to open his heart to anyone again. But this child in front of Derwin not only didn't emit the scent of breathing, but she also didn't mind him being by her side. Then, Derwin flicked her forehead. "Stop staring at me with that stupid expression." That's why he couldn't help himself. Anyway, Derwin told her, "There's no smell. Don't worry about it. But you're so short, you probably won't grow any taller." Letty shouted, "I'm not that short." At this time, little Letty was at home having a private lesson. Peyton's praised, "Letty is really working hard, even though she has monstrous abilities and can use the power of the stars at will." Peyton's told her not to hide her identity anymore. As long as you reveal that you're a Lediome, you can enjoy all the wealth and glory. What little Letty wanted was freedom, because she knew that once her identity was exposed, an endless nightmare would await her. So she absolutely could not expose her identity. Just then, Ludwig came to check on his daughter and how her studies were going. Little Letty saw that her father's miasma had become thicker. Little Letty asked Peyton's, "How much longer does the Duke have to live?" Peyton said, "About 2 years." Little Letty didn't expect it to be so short. Peyton's explained he was already a physically weak human to begin with, but you can't blame him for that. Ludwig said to her, "I heard from your teacher that he's very impressed with your concentration. That's amazing, but don't push yourself too hard." Little Letty was very moved. Duke Black truly treated her as his daughter, but she wasn't confident that she could truly become his daughter. But even if she could only help a little, Little Letty wanted to repay his kindness. Gide noticed that young Master Derwin's temper had actually improved. Ludwig said, "Perhaps he's feeling the responsibility of being an older brother. By the way, are you planning to attend the hunting festival?" Duke Sigismund came for that reason the day before yesterday, right? Duke Sigismund told him not to bring his commoner daughter to the hunting festival. Ludwig thought he had a point. It's better to let her grow up a bit and attend the Royal Academy. Little Letty pushed open the door and asked her father if she could read to him. Ludwig immediately stood up and asked Gide to leave for a moment. Gide was helpless and could only retreat. Ludwig held his daughter and said, "This is a precious moment just for our family. It can't be disturbed, right?" Little Letty was very happy and asked her father to listen to her read tomorrow as well. Ludwig seemed to want more, but was too embarrassed to say so. He could only wait disappointedly for his daughter to read to him tomorrow. Little Letty closed the door. Little Letty said she succeeded. It turned out that reading was just an excuse. Her real purpose was to purify Ludwig's miasma. Derwin appeared and told her that their father was very busy and she shouldn't bother him. Little Letty explained that she had her father's permission and wasn't bothering him. Derwin said shyly, "I'm better at reading to people than father is. You saw it yourself." Little Letty was exasperated. "You were just making fun of me last time." Derwin asked her, "Don't you like to read? Come with me. There's a place you'll definitely like." A woman introduced herself as the librarian. Derwin told her to get a few books for his sister to look at, then left. The librarian began to introduce the direct relatives of the Ludwig family. "You can choose one of these rooms as your personal study." Peyton's popped out and told Little Letty to choose the third room. The woman asked, "Are you sure you want to choose this room?" Little Letty said she wanted to take a look first. The woman told her to find her anytime if she needed anything. Little Letty asked Peyton's what he was doing. Peyton seemed to be looking for something. Little Letty told him to be careful that you're going to break the mirror. Little Letty asked him what on earth he was doing. "Are you done yet?" It was a glowing orb. Peyton's hand slipped and it rolled under the floorboards. Little Letty asked what it was. Peyton's explained that the orb was a compressed star fragment containing the power of a star. It's an item petrified from a star that has exhausted its life. Those guys came here out of curiosity. They completely lost their life-sustaining power and eventually turned into star fragments. Regardless of how strong the star's ability is, as long as you obtain a star fragment, you can use the star's ability. The aura of this star has at least ultimate level power. Peyton's told Little Letty to just break the floor a little. Little Letty was scared and said that if she broke this place, the librarian would be very troubled. Peyton's told her to just break it a little bit and then cover it with something so it wouldn't be discovered. Little Letty refused Peyton's suggestion. Peyton's didn't know what to say and could only give up. Suddenly, a boy's voice came from the mirror. Letty picked it up to look. There was actually a person talking in the mirror, which gave Letty a huge fright. The mirror shattered. Just then, Derwin returned and saw her running for her life. Little Letty hugged Derwin and told him there was a ghost in the room. Derwin was confused. How can there be a ghost? It turned out the ghost in the mirror was a blonde-haired boy. He was also a young master of this mansion. An old maid came over and asked if he had run to the room where the mementos were kept again. She warned him, "The Duke has ordered you not to touch the madam's belongings." The boy explained that he just missed his mother too much. The boy asked if he could skip his medicine, saying there was nothing wrong with his health. The old maid told him he had to take it every day, as it was the Duke's order. Under pressure, he had no choice but to drink it. As soon as he finished, the old maid took the bowl and left immediately. It seemed his title of young master was just a name. He was very lonely. Since his mother passed away, no one had really talked to him. So he hoped to see the person on the other side of the mirror again. Derwin told his father that TRI's said she was sick and didn't come along. Ludwig said that was just as well, as he didn't want to take her anyway. Derwin teased. Father brought back a very strange child. Ludwig looked at his son and said, "At least you're satisfied with her." Derwin became shy. Sigismund praised, "You listened to my advice and didn't bring your adopted daughter here, right?" "Ah, you really are kind, father. But but you don't have to worry. After all, your family isn't the only one with problems concerning children. The Serdia family didn't even bring their second son here. Ludwig said he had heard about it before, that the eldest son was very wary of the second son's ability. Their second son didn't come this time. It's very strange. But Duke Galawal didn't bring his son either. Sigismund was also puzzled. His son awakened his ability long ago, yet he doesn't bring him to an occasion like this. That guy's actions are truly baffling. There's a strange rumor about him. I heard he's been frequenting the slave market, as if he's looking for someone. But no one knows what he's looking for with those all-seeing eyes. It's said that he seems to have found a lediome. Ludwig asked, didn't the lediome disappear? Sigismund told him they'd talk later. Your son seems to be in trouble. Galawal grabbed Derwin. Though what's with this aura on you? You must have found her. If not, it just doesn't make sense. Ludwig unleashed his ability, forcing Galawal to let go of his son. Galawal was in some pain from his ability. Galawal thought of something and used his all-seeing eye to check Ludwig. He found that the miasma on his body hadn't faded at all. He thought Derwin was monopolizing the lediome for himself. At this moment, the Emperor saw them fighting here. How outrageous! He then revoked the participation rights of the Ludwig and Galawal families for this hunt. It turned out it wasn't little Letty who was sick, but Peyton's. Gede called Peyton's Peanut and told him to pull himself together. Peyton's angrily said his name wasn't Peanut. Gede became interested. He's just a squirrel, but he knows I'm making fun of him. Peyton's told little Letty to quickly give him a nice name, definitely not Peanut. Little Letty remembered Peyton's saying that the name Peyton's couldn't be said in public, but she couldn't give him a name related to Peanut. So how about calling him Walnut? Gede praised the young miss for being great at naming. At this, Peyton's heard the name and thought it was no different from Peanut fine. Gede said Walnut had heat stroke and not to worry, then left. Little Letty worriedly asked, you're not feeling well right now. It's not because of heat stroke, is it? Peyton said it wasn't. It was because he had stayed in the human world for too long, which was harming his body. So he had to go to the monster forest. Peyton's perked up again. Little Letty told him to stay for another 10 minutes before going back. She turned around and saw an injured wolf cub. Peyton's could tell he was a young ability user with a thick miasma on him. Peyton's told her he had severe external injuries and wouldn't survive even with purification. But she was a lediome. How could she just watch a living creature? Afterwards, little Letty found Gede and asked him to save the child. By the way, Peyton's, why are you acting so cute? How could Gede resist that? He had to agree. A few days later, the doctor told her about the little wolf's condition. He was healthy now. The doctor told her to let him know if there were any more problems and then left. Little Letty had also been coming to help purify his miasma these past few days, so he recovered quickly. Based on her memories from her past life, little Letty determined that he must be from the Serdia family. The second son. She knew that the Serdia family and the Ludwig family did not have a good relationship, so she planned to send him back once his leg healed. Just then, Ludwig came to see the stray dog his daughter was raising. Little Letty panicked, afraid her father would discover the little wolf was the second son of the Serdia family. Ludwig patted little Letty and asked if she wanted to keep this dog. Little Letty said she wanted to wait until he was fully healed before sending him back to his family. But Ludwig had already figured it out. He thought his daughter didn't know the little wolf was the second son of the Serdia family. Ludwig didn't plan to tell her the truth, but instead asked her to go to his room to see a gift first. Peyton's told Letty not to get happy too soon. The Duke's miasma has become very thick. Little Letty's mouth fell open. I asked this a gift for me. Ludwig told her to hurry up and open it. Peyton's praised. Ludwig looks fierce on the outside, but he's really a good father. But what happened at the hunting festival to make his miasma so severe? Little Letty also found it strange. She had helped him purify some miasma before, so why was it worse? Just as little Letty was lost in thought, Derwin appeared and told her he had also bought a gift and told her to catch. Little Letty barely caught it. She looked and saw it was a small puppy doll. Derwin said smugly, how about it? This dog looks just like you. I couldn't resist buying it. Little Letty really couldn't stand it. Peyton's asked little Letty if he should teach him a lesson. Little Letty thought about it and decided against it. A great person doesn't hold grudges against the small. Little Letty showed a cute smile. Thank you for the gift, Derwin. Derwin instantly blushed. Gede asked him what to do with the second son of Serdia. Ludwig said to secretly send someone to find Duke Serdia. Tell him his second son is with us. Gide was worried they would suspect them of kidnapping Serdia's second son. What should we do? Ludwig explained, we don't need to worry about that. He's in a good mood now because he won the hunt. He's relatively simple-minded. Gallerweil is the real problem. But recently he started to take an interest in Derwin again. Ludwig ordered Gide to send more troops to protect Derwin and TRIs. If that guy really plans to do something to Derwin, I'll drag him to the grave with me in the time I have left. Little Letty ran to feed the little wolf, bringing food. He immediately began to gobble it down. Suddenly, someone burst in and told the doctor that a person had been seriously injured during training. Peyton's sensed the aura of a star. The doctor informed the young miss that there was an emergency patient and asked her to get some herbs, and asked Master Chi-Chi to also get some medical supplies. It was the first time little Letty had seen the doctor so flustered. Peyton's told her to hurry up and check on the human who was brought in. Suddenly, a figure slowly approached. He lifted the curtain and greeted little Letty. Peyton's told her it was the aura he had sensed at the dress shop. It was him. The man asked little Letty why she had only purified Derwin. The man's eyes suddenly turned golden. This made little Letty realize the man's eyes were the same as Gallerweil's. Just then, the little wolf bit the man's arm. He was then thrown off. Peyton's roared, Sykenka, you're the one who should get lost. Peyton's punched Sykenka, clapped his hands, and warned Sykenka not to get any funny ideas about her. Sykenka laughed. Oh my, I didn't even know you were here, Peyton's. Your current form is really interesting. And to think you were called the god of battle. Peyton said, no matter what form I'm in, I'm still going to punch you. Peyton's was angry that he was being looked down upon. Peyton's raised his fist and charged at Sykenka. Peyton's told little Letty to run first with the wolf cub. Little Letty didn't want to abandon Peyton's. Sykenka laughed mockingly. You're quite agile, but your attacks are just tickles. Peyton's mocked him back. This made Sykenka lose his patience to play with him, and he immediately used his full power. But Peyton's had reached his limit. At the critical moment, little Letty unleashed her power and sent Sykenka flying. Peyton's, let's go now. While escaping, Peyton's looked at Letty and could feel that she was in great pain. Sykenka was in hot pursuit. Suddenly, Gide appeared and knocked Sykenka unconscious. Gide was confused. Why is Philip bullying the young miss? Peyton's and Letty breathed a sigh of relief. It was finally over. Gallerweil was very confused by Sykenka's words. He actually said that Ludwig's adopted daughter was not the Lediome. Sykenka explained, in short, an unexpected person has appeared. Things have become complicated. Gallerweil asked, the future I saw, will it come true? The one where I find the Lediome in the slave market. Sykenka said, that future? It almost came true. After saying that, he left. This made Gallerweil completely break down. He was going to kill everyone who got in his way. His son saw that his father had become so crazed. This was the first time he had seen his father so angry. His father shouted, Ian, why are you here, you brat? Did you hear everything? Ian explained that he hadn't heard anything. Gallerweil used his all-seeing eye and saw from Ian's perspective. All of his actions had been seen by him. Without another word, Gallerweil punched his own son. He called for a maid. Lock this guy in his room. It doesn't matter for how many days. And don't give him anything to eat. Ian begged frantically, pleading for his father's forgiveness. You useless brat. Don't you like going to your deceased mother's room? Lock him in his mother's room and let him reflect properly. Peyton's told little Letty that Sykenka's specialty is possession. Little Letty said, doesn't that mean Philip was framed? Peyton's was surprised she still had time to worry about others. That guy has his eyes on you. Little Letty was confused. Why me? He plans to fully enter the human world to make a contract with you. Then why did he come to the human world? Probably to rule the human world. Do you know why our world is called a tomb? Because it's always filled with death and nothingness. That's why 4 of the great stars tried to break the boundary between the tomb and the human world. But that kind of behavior is extremely dangerous, enough to cause the world to collapse. Both I and that goody two-shoes wanted to stop them. But because we couldn't reach a consensus, we sent them to the human world. Peyton's told her to run away from here quickly. Little Letty said she wouldn't run. Peyton's didn't understand. Little Letty explained, if I run away, Sykenka will do even worse things to the Ludwig family. Because in my past life, Gallerweil threatened me. He warned her if you run away again, the people who care for you will die one by one because of you. This made little Letty decide that she couldn't let anyone else get hurt because of her. Little Letty said to Peyton's, "Aren't you also a great star? As long as you're here, you can find them, right? So, rather than running away, I want to become stronger to protect the people I want to protect. Can you help me become stronger than I am now?" Peyton said with relief, "I really can't do anything about you. Then just believe in me." Afterwards, they found the star fragment they had discovered earlier. Little Letty used her magic. She broke the surrounding floorboards. Little Letty asked, "What does a white star fragment represent?" Peyton explains, "White is usually associated with healing or restoration. Anyway, once you have this power, a guy like Shikenka will no longer be a threat to you." Peyton tells him to close his eyes and feel what it's like to use healing power. After a while, apart from a gust of wind, nothing seems to have happened. Peyton remembers something. He immediately rummages for something. It turns out the mirror that was shattered before has been restored. The mirror that was shattered before has been restored. Suddenly, Devin calls out to Letty from behind. He grabs his hand and tells him to run. Then, two lively children appear. It turns out they're Lopin Sharp's younger brother and sister. Seeing how mischievous his siblings are, he somewhat regrets bringing them. But his mother and grandmother insisted that Lopin Sharp bring them to the Ludwig house to play. They call out to their brother, having found a small puppy. Lopin Sharp recognizes it at a glance. It's the dog Jickbert Seldia. Lopin Sharp asks, "Aren't you an Esper from Seldia? What are you doing here?" Then, Lopin Sharp hears a familiar voice and turns to look. It's Letty, who has come looking for his little wild dog. Letty notices them too. He asks, "You must be from the Sabetsman family, right?" Lopin Sharp sees that Letty can only nod now, unable to speak properly. Lopin Sharp's heart pounds whenever he sees him. Just as he is about to call out to him, Devin stops him, saying, "If you have something to say, I'll pass it on for you." "Ian, my dear child, can you feel how much your mother loves you?" It turns out Ian was dreaming that he was lying in his mother's arms. She seems to be crying to her deceased mother, "Father hates me. At this rate, I should be able to go to where you are soon." Suddenly, a voice comes from behind her. It's Peyton's. Ian is surprised that the squirrel can talk. Peyton says, "Letty, the ghost has appeared again." Then, a chaotic noise comes from the mirror, and then it falls silent, leaving a lonely Ian behind. Peyton tells Letty that he saw a boy behind the mirror, and his eyes were golden. Letty thinks Shikenka has possessed him. Peyton explains that he is not Shikenka and thinks he must be an Esper. Letty thinks for a moment. Golden eyes and an Esper. Could it be? Peyton interrupts him. This guy should be able to talk when he turns into a human, right? Last time, I heard Shikenka call you Ledium. What if he goes around telling everyone later? Letty asks him, "You should know your own identity, right?" Jickbert barks twice. Letty pets him, telling him to just keep his identity a secret. Jickbert suddenly runs away. Suddenly, someone gently pokes him from behind. It's Jickbert, transformed into a human. Letty asks, "Are you Jickbert?" Jickbert grabs the corner of his clothes and explains, "We are friends. I won't tell anyone." Letty shows a relieved smile. With a poof, Jickbert's transformation is undone. Letty tells him to go to the treatment room and wait, and that he'll find him after class. Letty's body suddenly jolts. Peyton says he felt it too. That guy is awake. Shikenka praises Letty. "So, you could sense that I was coming, Ledium?" As soon as Peyton hears him say Ledium, he starts scolding him. Shikenka and the two begin a round of mutual taunting. Suddenly, while they are not paying attention, Shikenka grabs Peyton's. "As long as I put you to sleep, your contract will be over." Shikenka separates Peyton's consciousness from his body and puts his consciousness into a special item. He threatens Letty, so if you want to save him, do as I say. As long as you obey, it should be a good thing for you too. After all, you can save your family. Of course, whether you believe me or not is your choice. Letty is now troubled, wondering whether he should believe him. Suddenly, Shikenka swallows Peyton's consciousness and gives him 3 conditions. The first is to help me get out of prison. Clear this person's name. After all, you wouldn't want an innocent knight to be sentenced, would you? Second, save Ian de Jangan Gallowell. You know the future, so you should be able to find a way to save him. And you should already know about that guy. Letty looks at Peyton's and says he will do as he says, but he must confirm Peyton's safety during the process. Shikenka smiles and says the third condition is to enter the Royal Academy. Letty looks at Peyton's body and can't help but sob. "Tia, why are you crying?" Letty calls out, "Father." He runs over and hugs his father. As Letty hugs his father, the dark energy on his father's body grows thicker. Letty really wants to help his father purify the dark energy, but but patents can no longer help him. Without borrowing patents' power, Letty's solo treatment will surely backfire. So, to protect them, Letty has to compromise with Shikenka. He asks his father if he can release Philip, because a monster appeared in the treatment room. He was trying to protect me. That's why he was possessed by the monster. He asks his father to believe him. Ludwig sighs. As a father, of course I believe my child. So don't make that face anymore. The boy in the mirror that Peyton's mentioned last time must be Ian de Jang-in. Letty looks for the mirror. Is there some kind of switch? Ian, holding the mirror, asks who's there and tells him not to go. Letty tells him he's right here. Ian asks, "You're finally not running away? But why can't I see your face?" Letty explains that he doesn't want to show his face. The reason Letty doesn't show his face is because Ian also has the wise eye. Ian is very happy. Even if I can't see your face, it's great to have someone to talk to. I've always wanted to meet you. Letty is flattered and asks, really? Why? Probably because you don't know who I am, so you won't want to kill me. Letty thinks of his past life. Gallowell said to him, "To have you all to myself, I even kill my own son." Letty knows that Ian's life will not change. Only death awaits him. So Letty decides to save this ill-fated boy and comforts him with all his heart. Ian never thought that besides his mother, someone for the first time would tell him to live well. This moves Ian deeply. This day must have been Ian's happiest day. Ludwig explains to Devon that Philip's statement is the same as Tia's, so he believes he is innocent. Devon firmly disagrees because that guy is very suspicious. Ludwig explains that it was a decision made by the adults after much deliberation. Ludwig tells Tia, "The little wild dog you're raising is an Esper from the Seldia family." Letty explains, "Really? I had no idea." Ludwig explains to him, "I was originally planning to send him back later, but Seldia came in person." Ludwig suddenly covers his mouth and coughs twice. Letty quickly steps forward and asks, "Father, are you all right?" Ludwig looks at his palm in horror. Jick learns that he is about to be picked up and is very dejected. Letty comforts him, saying they will meet again. Duke Seldia thanks Ludwig for taking care of his son. "I will definitely repay you next time, Ludwig. You should be more careful. The fact that the child was so seriously injured this time must be the work of the eldest son's faction. So you should think carefully about how to resolve this matter." Seldia explains that he has already thought of a plan and not to worry. Time quickly passes to the evening. Ludwig is reading a book. Letty runs in, wanting to sleep with his father tonight. Ludwig is very happy. Having a daughter is such a blessing. Ludwig tells Letty a story. He finds that he has fallen asleep. Ludwig never expected it. At first, he felt awkward calling him father, but now he runs over every night asking me to read to him. Ludwig feels he's starting to see me as a real father. Ludwig tells him, "My time is running out. I adopted you on a whim and can't be responsible for you until the end. I'm truly sorry." Ludwig swears that even if he dies, he will always protect him. Ludwig should be asleep by now. Letty opens his eyes and glances over. He gets up and looks at him. He should be asleep. Letty immediately performs the purification. As expected, he suffers a backlash. He didn't expect that without Peyton's help, he couldn't completely purify it. He remembers he still has the star fragment. He decides to take a gamble. He knows very well that he will suffer great pain. But more than being afraid, he is more afraid of losing this kind father. Letty performs the purification. All the dark energy around Ludwig is cleared. Letty succeeded. But at the same time, his own pain arrives. Waking up early, Ludwig finds his body feels much more comfortable than ever before and discovers his daughter Tia is missing. Jed pushes open the door and shouts, "Something's wrong. Something happened to the young lady." At this moment, the doctor gasps, "I've never seen symptoms like this before. No matter what method is used, the bleeding won't stop. What should be done?" Ludwig clenches his fists, realizing that Tia is Lydium. The first day he met her, the child was almost taken to the slave market by her uncle. At the same time, Gallowell happened to go to the slave market. This also explains why she asked Devon if he had found Gallowell. Being able to see things others can't see is Lydium. She is my daughter, Tia Lige. No wonder she asked back then if he could be spared from suffering. It must be because of the pain that comes with purifying the dark energy. Ludwig gives an order. "No matter what it takes, you must save Tia Lige." A few days later, Ludwig brings in many doctors to treat her. Thinking of the suffering Tia has endured, he is willing to give his life to save her. The Knight Commander reports, A red wolf has appeared outside. The Knight Commander explains that it has been in that position since dawn. It turns out to be Jick. He crossed the monster-infested forest that even dukes cannot pass through safely, risking his life to run here just to see Letty. Ludwig still lets him in. Ludwig explains to Jed that this wolf is different from before. He is the heir of Seldia. Moreover, he defeated his brother who was 6 years older than him and obtained the right to inherit Seldia. Ludwig didn't expect that the method he thought of was to have his two sons duel, thus determining the superior heir. It's very much in the style of the Beast Clan. Ludwig feels he has perseverance far beyond ordinary people. Jed asks, he's not just a member of the Seldia family, but the heir. Is it necessary to let him in? If this guy came as the heir of Seldia, he wouldn't be in such a sorry state. Right now, he's just my daughter's friend. Treat him well. Don't let him down. Both Devin and Jick are waiting for Letty to wake up. Devin tells Dr. Klang she will get better, right? She won't leave me like Mother did, will she? Dr. Klang pats Devin, telling him to trust the Duke. He will surely find a way to treat the young lady. Please get some rest first, and let the young lady rest as well. Maybe she will open her eyes tomorrow. Ludwig doesn't understand. You'd rather get hurt to save me. I promised to be a good father and protect you well, but I failed to keep a single promise. Just as Ludwig is blaming himself, Letty's hand suddenly moves. Ludwig is surprised to feel it. Her hand moved. Letty finally wakes up and asks, Father, have you become healthy? Ludwig makes up his mind. This time, he must protect his daughter well. At this moment, Ian misses Letty very much. Since then, they have not contacted each other. Suddenly, a white cloth appears on the mirror. Letty calls out to Ian. Ian asks, is that you? Letty explains the reason he hasn't come to see him these past few days. Ian says, you were sick and you were still worried about me? Letty explains, of course, we're friends, and asks Ian if he wants to go to the Royal Academy together. Ian is excited. If I go there, I can see you? Anna's voice comes from the other side of the mirror. Miss, you haven't recovered yet. How can you run here? Come back to the room with me quickly. Letty says goodbye and leaves. Ian is still thinking about how to get into the Royal Academy. Letty sees Jick again and asks him why he's injured again. Devin tells him that every time he comes, his injuries are less severe than the last. It means he has mastered the trick to escaping the forest. Letty says his size is also getting bigger. Letty asks Devin, what are you doing here? Want to play together? Devin seems very proud and says he doesn't want to play at all. He's here to monitor that wolf, and his father told him to maintain his wolf form. Suddenly, Jick pulls Devin and rushes into the pond. He even splashes water in Devin's face. Seeing Devin's sorry state, Letty laughs out loud. Devin is angry, and the consequences are severe. Letty realizes the situation is not good. The three of them return home, soaking wet. Ludwig can't help but laugh. He uses a handkerchief to wipe the water from her cheeks. Letty feels very happy. But how long can this happiness last? Their dark energy accumulates every day. Letty knows there's only one way to completely save them. Letty asks her father if she can attend the Royal Academy. 3 years later, Ian successfully enters the Royal Academy. He really wants to see the girl he has been thinking about for 3 years. Suddenly, Ian sees Duke Ludwig and greets him. Ludwig says, you recognize me right away. Ian replies, I saw you at the hunting festival a few days ago. Ludwig asks him, were your eyes always golden? As far as I know, espers with the wise I have golden eyes. Ian explains, Father wants me to attend the Royal Academy and cultivate various aspects of myself during this time. So he had me wear this necklace, which blocks my divine power. It has magic cast on it, so I can't take it off. Ludwig is also unsure what Gallowell is planning. Even warning him is useless, but his son seems different from him. He is indeed quite pitiful. Ludwig lets go of Ian and apologizes to him, telling him that if he ever needs help, he can come to him at any time. Today is Letty's entrance ceremony, and it's full of people. Philip smiles and says, from now on, I will protect the young lady's safety with my life. Letty retorts, there's no need to be so dramatic. Philip explains, don't you know how hard it was for the attendant knights back then? If I don't risk my life, Anna and Jed would probably kill me. Actually, Letty chose Philip just to make it easier for Shikenka to possess him. Because of his age, it took him 3 years to enter the Royal Academy. Peyton's also slept for 3 years. Ludwig tells his daughter where the entrance ceremony is, but this time, Lydium will definitely rescue Peyton's. The entrance ceremony is not going smoothly. Seeing that she is a commoner, many people are whispering. Ludwig is furious but holds it in. Because today is his daughter's entrance ceremony, he doesn't want to make his daughter unhappy over this. Ludwig bends down and tells Tia he is going back first. From now on, father won't be by your side, so you have to take good care of yourself. Your brother Devin is also here. If you have any trouble, find him. Letty says, I am Ludwig's daughter, Tia Lige Ludwig. Seeing his daughter has grown up, Ludwig is relieved. After completing the entrance ceremony, Letty can go to class. A familiar voice comes from behind Letty. It's Devin and Lopen Sharp. They came to see Letty. Letty also runs over. Letty senses something is wrong and thinks for a moment, isn't it class time now? You didn't skip class, did you? Devin says, why can't we skip class? Lopen Sharp pushes him away, saying, I didn't skip class. Letty sees them flirting and can't help but laugh out loud. Letty's smile is too much for Lopen Sharp to handle. His heart pounds. Seeing him like this, Letty gets worried. Devin tells him he's just having a heart attack. Don't mind him. Anyway, let's take you to the classroom first. Let's go together. Letty suddenly becomes cold. Brother, do you know how expensive the tuition at the Royal Academy is? Don't use me as an excuse. Hurry back to class. Letty has Philip take him to the classroom, leaving the two of them flustered in the wind. Letty and the others finally find the classroom. Letty recalls her past life. She had never attended any academy. Letty pulls herself together. She must do well here, save Patence, defeat Shikenka, and live happily with everyone. This woman is Lambla Ismi. She is the teacher for the first class. But before class starts, she must get rid of the troublemakers. The teacher shouts, Jikbert Seldia. Letty is surprised that Jik is also here. Suddenly, everyone looks at a turtle. Suddenly, Jik emits a golden light and transforms into a human, greeting Letty. The teacher scolds him not only for being absent in the morning, but also for disrupting the new students' class. The teacher also mentions Letty, telling her to come with him after class. Suddenly, the principal and the teachers are all amazed. I've never seen such a high score in my life. Ordinary people can't even reach 5, no matter how hard they try. Those with potential for magic can only reach between 10 and 30. Even for espers, they generally only reach around 50. While the principal is thinking, Lambla brings Letty over. The reason I called you here today is because of the magic affinity test results. Letty says, is 98 a good score? The principal almost falls out of his chair upon hearing this. The red-haired woman exclaims, of course it's good. It's a talent that money can't buy. 踩在脚下，校长为他这份检验结果向乐蒂提出了意见，让他如果想 You can transfer from the general course to the magic course, and we will give you a full scholarship for 8 years. Letty decides to go back and think about it. Letty remembers Patence mentioning the power of the stars, also known as magic. Letty says, magic is the power used by magicians, right? Patence says, you understand correctly. You humans also borrow the power of the stars that permeates everywhere. Especially Ledium, his total magic power is frighteningly high. Letty knows her magic power is high because she is Ledium, but if she gets the scholarship, she can relieve her father's pressure. Letty thinks of Ian. Ever since they told each other they successfully got into the Royal Academy, they haven't contacted each other. Letty was about to ask about Ian when she saw Philip. Philip explains, this young lady fell, and I was about to offer a hand to help her up. Her companion walks over. He asks her why she's sitting here. Her companion angrily says, don't tell me this knight knocked you down. The girl quickly waves her hands, no, that's not it. The man insists, I heard the quality of an attendant depends on their master. Maybe it's because he's a knight following a commoner. It's not surprising. Letty retorts, how can you be sure it was my knight who bumped into her? Philip knows they are looking down on her. Because the young lady is of common birth, they won't listen obediently no matter what is said. The girl is still trying to persuade them, but the man is relentless and pushes his luck. He tells the man, if you don't want to tarnish your master's reputation, kneel and apologize. Everyone knows that a young lady of common birth can't have any reputation. Suddenly, a voice says, do you need me to take a look for you? It's Ian. He asks the seniors, do you want me to use my eyes to confirm for you? Everyone sees it's Ian to Jang in. Although Letty didn't see his face clearly back then, she knows the person in front of her is Ian. Seeing that he is healthy, Letty is very relieved. Ian asks, well, do you need me to do something for you? The man sees it's someone he can't afford to offend. So they all leave. Philip thanks Ian. Ian says it's nothing. Ian notices Letty and greets her. Letty hides behind Philip. Philip is confused. Letty whispers the reason to him. Philip immediately explains, our young lady is not feeling well. but she will definitely repay you later. Ian doesn't need her repayment. Just being able to see her is enough. Philip comes back smiling. Our young lady has always been polite. Why couldn't you speak when you met young Master Ian? Could it be that you've fallen for young Master Ian? Letty says, of course not. Letty asks Philip to keep what happened today a secret. Philip doesn't understand. The matter of them framing and slandering you today is better reported. Letty explains she just doesn't want to worry her father. Letty threatens if you report it, he might replace the attendant. That night, a sleeping Letty suddenly hears Peyton's voice. Letty gets up and opens the box, only to find that Peyton's has no reaction at all. But Letty is sure she heard Peyton's voice. Letty is afraid. What if Shikenka appears? Just as Letty is worrying, Shikenka appears behind her. He tells her, you should have heard Peyton's voice, right? I let him out again. Shikenka was originally going to let her see you as promised, but he hasn't fully recovered. Shikenka advises her to give up on Peyton's and make a contract with him. Letty refuses and tells him she has fulfilled the previous promise and demands that Shikenka return Peyton's. Shikenka says, you haven't fulfilled all the promises. I told you to save Ian de Jingen, not to have him leave the ducal estate, right? Shikenka laughs. That guy will die tonight. Ian has started sleepwalking. He seems to be controlled. Your mother left behind a strange thing. It's a mirror split in half, with a magic stone hidden inside. He believes his father will properly dispose of this mirror. His father urges him to finish the medicine he didn't take during the school term while on break. It turns out the medicine his father made him take was problematic. In the final moments of his life, Ian has already seen the person he wanted to see. Ian, I'm sorry. I couldn't fulfill the request to live well. At this moment, Letty and Philip are on their way. Letty tells him someone has fallen into the water. Philip leaps into the water. Philip pulls Ian out and desperately tries to revive him. Letty doesn't want Ian to die just like that. They had promised to see this wide world together. She doesn't want Ian to die miserably in pain like she did. Letty sees the dark energy constantly entangling his heart. Letty grabs Ian's hand without hesitation and purifies the dark energy for him. Ian spits out the excess water in his body and slowly opens his eyes, but then faints again. Philip tells Letty he will report this to the master and tells Letty to go back and rest first. Philip doesn't understand how the young lady knew young Master Ian was here. Could it be that she has been secretly watching him? This makes Philip think they are in a relationship. If Ludwig finds out Letty is in a relationship, the city will probably be in chaos. Letty's body is injured once again. Philip brings the injured Ian to Lopen Sharp, but is refused by Lopen Sharp. Philip tells him that if he helps Ian, the young lady will surely thank him. Hearing that he can be praised by Tia, Lopen Sharp instantly agrees. Ian also successfully wakes up. Ian recalls before he fell into the water and the voice of that child. It was all real. She saved him. He goes to Ludwig and tells him about his father's actions. He has been forced to take strange medicine since he was a child. To escape him, he came to the Royal Academy. But after enrolling, he started to show symptoms of sleepwalking. In his heart, Ian also wants to live happily. Ludwig tells him not to worry, that he will figure something out. Ian thanks him from the bottom of his heart for his help. The dean sorts out the documents and transfers Letty to the magic course. Letty didn't expect the transfer to happen so quickly. Lopen Sharp and Jick find Letty. It turns out they have created a club and want Letty to join. Lopen Sharp explains that the school requires everyone to participate in a club activity starting from the third year. So they and Devin decided to create a club. The name of the club is the Dessert Research Society. Lopen Sharp says the club is still one person short. Jick says he has a friend. After school, Jick brings Ian over. Ian smiles and greets them. This gives Letty no time to react. If she makes a sound, she will expose herself. Letty's thoughts are in complete chaos. Just then, Devin also arrives. Letty looks at Devin with pitiful eyes. Devin realizes something and thinks someone has bullied his sister, so he starts questioning them. Jick explains that he just introduced Ian. Letty nods to indicate they are telling the truth. Then she pulls Devin and tells him she's very hungry. Devin immediately takes Letty to eat. Lopen Sharp takes Ian to fill out the application form and casually mentions the incident of him falling into the water. Lopen Sharp even lent his treasured pajamas to Ian. Ian excitedly asks him who the child who saved him that day was. Seeing Ian's expression, Lopen Sharp realizes he doesn't seem to know it was Tia who saved him. He senses from Ian's expression that it would probably be bad to tell him the truth. So Lopen Sharp still doesn't tell him the truth. Devin thinks Ian bullied Letty and wants to go teach him a lesson. Letty tells him not to bully Ian. Letty wants Devon to help her pretend to have a sore throat. She even acts cute towards Devon. How could Devon resist that? Lope and Sharp and the others find Letty. She signals him again with her eyes. Devon tells them his sister has a sore throat and wants to eat something. Letty sees that Ian seems very unhappy. Letty gives her dessert to Ian. Suddenly, a gust of wind blows by. Letty is very worried about him. Ian sees Letty's side profile, which reminds him of the blurry face he saw that night. It matches. Lope and Sharp breaks their atmosphere, saying that due to Letty's health, they should end it here for today. Devon also takes Letty away. That night, Ian dares not sleep, afraid that he will start sleepwalking again if he falls asleep. So the insomniac Ian comes to the river where he fell in before. He is still wondering if the child from that time was really Tia Lige. Philip suddenly tackles Ian. Letty also runs out and praises Philip for a job well done. Ian looks on in surprise. Letty realizes Ian is not sleepwalking and is awake, and the two sit down together. Letty's identity is completely exposed. Ian tells her he is fine. Both of their faces show relieved smiles. Following Letty's instructions, Philip invites Devon over. Devon wants to know why Letty called him so late. It turns out Letty wants Devon and Ian to sleep together. Devon was already angry, and it turns out she just wanted him to sleep with Ian. Letty begs Devon, because this matter involves Ian's life. Devon is unhappy seeing them holding hands. Devon does not agree to Letty's request. Ian tells her it's okay. Devon hears that Letty will stay with Ian tonight and stops in his tracks. Ian says Letty doesn't need to go that far. Devon can't listen anymore and finally lets Ian go to sleep with him. Letty begins her first class in the magic course, turning a magic stone into water. Letty holds the magic stone and chants the spell. Letty's magic goes out of control. Seeing this, the teacher uses magic to stop it, but it seems to only hold it back for a moment. The magic is still out of control. The teacher can't believe his magic can't stop the magic of a first-year student. At this moment, Lope and Sharp and the principal happen to pass by. Just when Letty doesn't know what to do, Lope and Sharp steps in and resolves the crisis. The teacher finds the principal and asks him to forbid Tia Lige from learning magic. If Lope and Sharp hadn't stopped it, he doesn't know what would have happened. What's more, Tia Lige is the daughter of the Ludwig family, who are the most dangerous family among the Espers. The principal prepares to invite Gallowell over to use his wise eye to judge Tia Lige's level of danger. Ludwig finds Ian and tells him he has found a reason for his sleepwalking. There's an ancient cursed artifact. It makes the wearers sick, can't be taken off, and also seals their magic power. In principle, only Duke Gallowell, who cast the curse, can remove your necklace. If I try to remove it, my life will be in danger. Ludwig tells him not to panic and hands him a brooch. This brooch is an artifact. Although it can't solve the problem of the seal, it can stop Ian from sleepwalking. Ian is truly grateful to Ludwig for this help. Philip told Ludwig at that time that the young lady had made a new friend. It looks like he really likes young master Ian de Jangen Gallowell. If Ian weren't Tia's good friend, he wouldn't have helped him to this extent. Ludwig suddenly smiles at Ian, but inwardly, if he sees Ian bullying Tia, he'll make him pay. Ian finds Letty and tells her he found her father. He also says the brooch he's wearing is an artifact, so he doesn't have to worry about sleepwalking anymore. Letty happily hugs him, unable to stop the tears of joy for Ian. From now on, Ian will live for himself, and he'll also live for Letty. During dinner, Devon sees that Letty's eyes are very red. Did you cry? Letty is a bit flustered. Devon thinks she was bullied again and tells Letty to tell him everything. Letty explains she just missed her father. Devon thinks she's a fool. What's there to cry about? Devon says he will send her back on the weekend and will help her apply for leave. Letty looks at Devon, and it's as if she sees her father. 2 years ago, Devon learned that his sister was seriously ill at home. At that time, Devon looked at the bedridden Letty, worried that she would leave him like their mother did. At that time, Devon also guessed Letty's identity. At that time, Devon could only pray to the gods, hoping the gods would save her, and he was willing to protect her for a lifetime. Letty waves goodbye to Devon. Devon sees that she has grown up and shows a relieved smile. The dean finds Duke Sabetsman, wanting to ask for his advice on something. He asks if there's a way to contact Duke Gallowell, as he wants to consult him about a student, but has been unable to reach him. The student's name is Tia Lige Ludwig. She is a remarkable student. She has shown an astonishing magic affinity, but some teachers believe that power is very dangerous, so they want to ask Duke Gallowell to judge. Sabetsman immediately takes the letter, saying he will pass it on. Sabetsman thinks this time it's Ludwig's child again. Sabetsman recalls recalls that 2 years ago, Gallowell had ill intentions towards Devon. He thinks that this time, Ludwig will owe him another favor. That day, Letty and the others were talking about the club. Letty sees that her club's name is up, so she can't wait to see what the club room looks like. Opening the door, it's Duke Sabetsman who comes out. Duke Sabetsman politely greets Letty and leaves. Lopensharp learns that his father has come and immediately goes to the club. Letty tells him his father just left. Letty sees that Sabetsman also has a lot of dark energy on him. Devon interrupts Letty's thoughts and throws Letty a gift for joining the club. Letty hooks Devon's arm and thanks him for the gift. Devon suddenly feels a sharp pain in his chest. Sabetsman gives the letter from the principal to Ludwig. Ludwig is shocked when he sees the contents of the letter. This time, Ludwig owes Sabetsman another favor. Sabetsman can't help but marvel at his daughter's astonishing magic affinity. It has exceeded the acceptable normal range. Sabetsman suggests he ask Gallowell to take a look. Ludwig refuses. He believes that Gallowell is not the only one with a wise eye ability. Letty and the others are playing a game. Devon tells Letty to draw whatever she wants, as she can't win against Philip anyway. Letty explodes upon hearing this. How could I keep losing? Devon suddenly slumps onto the table. Letty looks at the motionless Devon and thinks he has fallen asleep. Letty tells Philip that something is wrong with Devon, so she takes out the star fragment to treat Devon. Devon pushes Letty away and tells Philip to call his father and also tells him not to let Letty touch him. After saying that, he faints. When Devon wakes up again, he is already in bed. Letty is also by his side, accompanying him. Ludwig pushes open the door and tells Devon, "This happens when you don't use your ability for a long time. Just use it occasionally." He is curious why Devon didn't want Letty to touch his body. Devon wants to reveal Letty's identity. Ludwig interrupts him, saying he also knows about Tia's special nature. Ludwig tells him that the previous letter was from the principal, who thought she was dangerous and wanted to invite Gallowell over. Ludwig suddenly tells Devon to be quiet. It turns out Letty has woken up, so they need Ian's help. Ludwig tells Devon that as an older brother, he must protect his younger sister well in the future. Devon's eyes are very determined. Back in her room, Letty can't sleep at all. She is thinking about how the academy principal considers her so dangerous. Suddenly, she hears Peyton's voice. Letty is excited to hear Peyton's voice and looks for him everywhere. Peyton tells her not to look. "I'm right here." Letty is thrilled. 2 years have passed, and she finally sees Peyton again. She asks him why he's not in his squirrel form. Because this body is the original form of the god of war. The stars were once gods, and humans merely looked up to the gods. In the timeless flow, there is no such thing as eternity. They can no longer maintain their appearance in the human world, return to their tombs, and then gradually lose their power, falling into an eternal sleep. Peyton explains, "I haven't reached the point of returning to the tomb yet, but I can't exert all my power like before." Letty doesn't care. In her eyes, Peyton is still very powerful. Letty is puzzled as to how he escaped. Peyton doesn't know if he can be considered out. He is now just a consciousness. Peyton explains to her, "Didn't that guy temporarily let me out last time? That day was a great opportunity." Peyton used his ability to manipulate consciousness to deceive him, making him think he had returned to the glass bottle. In fact, Peyton had been hiding in that knight's body all along and slowly stole the power he had stored. In the end, his power was stolen by Peyton's, and he fell into a deep sleep. Seeing that Peyton's is unchanged from before, Letty can't help but shed tears of excitement. Peyton feels that Letty must have suffered a lot during this time and comforts her, willing to listen to what happened during this period. Peyton is very angry when he hears that those humans want to forbid his contractor from using magic. Peyton tells her that the human spells are long and boring. Letty is confused. "Don't you have to chant a spell to cast magic?" Peyton explains they created that insignificant ability in order to extract the power of the stars. Peyton pinches Letty's cheek and tells her, "My foolish contractor doesn't need that kind of thing at all." The dean agrees to let Ian confirm if Letty is dangerous. Ian whispers to her, "It'll be okay." Letty suddenly becomes shy. Then Ian activates his ability. He tells the dean that there is no problem with Letty. The teacher next to him is suspicious, explaining that he has seen Gallowell use his ability before and his eyes would glow. He only saw Ian's eyes change color, but they didn't glow. Ludwig explains from the side, even among espers, the same phenomenon doesn't necessarily occur. The teacher doesn't believe what they say. Letty says she will prove it with her actions. She tells them she has been practicing magic recently. The teacher and the dean are excited, not expecting Letty to cast magic here. Letty chants a very short spell, just as the teacher thinks Letty is about to lose control. The water from the magic stone flows out very slowly. Letty asks them, "Can I continue to learn magic now?" The dean immediately changes his tune. The discussion about forbidding Tia Lige from using magic ends here. Letty is now very happy. Ian sees that she is not only hardworking, but also excellent. Ian thinks Letty's smile is beautiful. While Devin and the others are in class, the roar of monsters comes from outside. A horde of monsters is attacking the academy. The students are scared and scatter. Devin and Lopen Sharp decide to protect them. Devin's aura is very powerful, causing some monsters to stop breathing. Lopen Sharp's ice is not to be outdone. Lopen Sharp and the others decide to clear out the monsters here and go find Letty. Suddenly, Lopen Sharp has an absurd idea. He tells Devin that monsters generally have no intelligence. But how could they enter the school in a group? The nearest monster habitat is at least a 5-day journey from here. Lopen Sharp guesses that someone must have set a coordinate. Otherwise, it's impossible for them to enter the school at the same time. Suddenly, Letty calls out to Devin and the others from the sky. They also notice Letty. It's Jick, transformed into a monster. Seeing that they are okay, Letty quickly flies over. Devin is surprised to see Letty here. He asks where his father is. Letty tells him that the magic course teachers are setting up a protective barrier, and until then, he must stay to protect them. Letty tells her brother there's a shelter over there where they can hide. A maid runs over and tells Lopen Sharp's father that the situation is very critical. Sabetsman saw Ludwig. There's a meeting today. I was originally going to help, but I encountered a large number of magical beasts on the way. Lopen Sharp is very worried about his father. Padence knows what Letty is about to do and advises her that there are many people here, so it's better not to alert them. Letty thinks of a way. Lopen Sharp tells them he plans to send his father home. With Ludwig by his father's side, he can also be at ease. Lopen Sharp tells him they'll meet again, then turns and leaves. Letty asks Padence to cast a spell on her, just as Letty is about to become invisible. Devin interrupts her, asking if she is casting a spell. Padence is surprised that Devin could detect his magic. Devin tightly grips Letty's wrist and asks her again. Letty doesn't hide it. Devin sighs and tells Ian and the others to come and look at the squirrel on his shoulder. The two also lean over to look. Devin uses a rope he had hidden to tie them together. Devin says something to Jick. No matter what Letty says, Jick refuses to untie them. Lopen Sharp tells him he needs to go pack his things. So Devin goes with him. No matter how much Letty begs, Jick still doesn't agree. Ian makes up a lie, telling Jick that Letty is a bit cold and wants to go to the dormitory to get a coat, thinking it would be bad if Letty caught a cold. Jick also doesn't want Letty to catch a cold, so he agrees to Ian's request, telling him to hurry back, and whispers to him that he will support Letty no matter what. Letty uses magic to become invisible again. Letty is sad to see where her father is. Letty quietly completes the purification. Ludwig senses his daughter's presence. She was just here. He notices that Sabetsman's complexion has recovered well. Letty comes out and breathes a sigh of relief. Suddenly, a hand lands on Letty's shoulder. It's Ian. He tells Letty to run. His father is coming. Devin returns to find they have escaped after all. Jick recounts what happened. Devin is helpless and wants to turn around to see his father and the others. But he sees Sabetsman. The Duke has woken up. Lopen Sharp rushes over and hugs him. A man appears behind Devin. It's Gallowell. Ludwig tells Devin to come to his side immediately. Gallowell is excited, using his wise eye to see that they have been purified very cleanly. Sabetsman doesn't understand and turns to look at Ludwig. Gallowell reveals that Lydium is Ludwig's daughter. Sabetsman is greatly shocked. Gallowell continues to be aggressive. Ludwig uses his aura to kill Gallowell. Gallowell knows he wouldn't dare to kill him, because if he killed Gallowell, who is also a duke, Ludwig would also be sentenced to death. Sabetsman advises him not to act on impulse. Ian takes Letty and hides. Ian tells her his father is dangerous and is looking for Lydium. Letty is surprised how Ian guessed her true identity. Ian tells her that Shikenka told him. Padence is a bit surprised. Then Ian's head slumps down. Ian is now possessed by Shikenka. Padence sees Shikenka appear before him. He feels this shouldn't be happening. Shikenka scoffs, "I'm not that weak." Then Then he tells Patence to shut up for a moment. Those three guys are here. Patence asks, are they the three great stars? The three stars that descended to the human world. Patence had said they entered human bodies and have fallen into a deep sleep. How could it be? Patence says Dita's name, asking Shikenka, has he woken up too? Shikenka tells him Dita has not woken up. Dita is the goody two-shoes who created Ledium. Patence doesn't understand what they are doing here. Shikenka says there is something they want here. Shikenka tells Letty to go outside and talk. Letty tells him Gallowell is outside, and that Ian will also be in danger if he sees him. Ian directly rips off the necklace. Letty grabs his clothes. If you rip off the necklace, Ian will die. Shikenka tells her to calm down. This necklace was originally for Ian. Letty is confused about his purpose. Shikenka did this all to prevent Gallowell from discovering Letty. Because if Ian used his ability, Gallowell could also discover Letty. Shikenka's actions, however, made Ian suffer a lot. On the way, Shikenka tells them that those guys plan to possess espers and start a war. They want to use the war to become heroes and be admired by thousands. Letty remembers hearing about a war in her previous life. Shikenka says that Dita wanted to change that future and made a deal with him. Suddenly, Shikenka feels unwell. It's because he has been in the human world for too long. Then Shikenka faints. When he opens his eyes, Ian has already woken up. Letty looks around, searching for Shikenka. Shikenka has also possessed the squirrel. This makes Patence laugh at him. Ian says to quickly find Duke Sebetsman. Ian tells Letty to stay here while he and Shikenka go figure something out. Ian doesn't want Letty to get hurt. Letty is grateful for Ian's concern, but she doesn't want to run away anymore. Sebetsman can't understand Ludwig. To hide things even from me. This plays right into Gallowell's hands. The trust between Ludwig and Sebetsman begins to crumble. It turns out Gallowell still received the dean's letter. This time, he wants to break the secret they have been maintaining for 2 years to protect Ledium. Ian appears in front of Gallowell. Gallowell shouts, Ian, get out of the way. Letty tells him he has no right to treat Ian like that. Gallowell finally sees the Ledium he has been longing for. Ian protects her. Gallowell raises his hand, wanting to teach Ian a lesson. Patence tells Shikenka they are coming. Suddenly, a golden circle of light appears around Ian and Letty. Gallowell's entire body is suddenly frozen. It's lope and sharp. No, it seems a little different. Ludwig and Sebetsman both faint. Letty is very worried about Ludwig. Shikenka tells Letty they are the great stars. When a great star descends, it creates a huge impact. If 3 appear at the same time, the impact will inevitably be even greater. Everyone in the academy has probably fainted by now. The possessed Jik questions Shikenka, you actually betrayed us. Shikenka suddenly takes out the glass bottle. Jik moves forward to try and stop him, but is ambushed by Patence hiding behind him and knocked unconscious. They work together to deal with one, but there are still 2 powerful stars left. Just as Patence is about to go all out, Letty grabs him and asks him to lend her his power. Just as Devon is about to attack Letty and the others, Letty uses her powerful magic, defeated them. The consciousness of the 2 stars also flew out. Shikenka couldn't help but marvel. Letty Ohm's power is truly immense. The next day, the school announced a suspension of classes due to the incident. Dewin asked if Letty was truly Letty Ohm. Dewin couldn't help but start reflecting on himself. He shouldn't have taken her to the forest when they were children. Letty held his warm hand and explained that back then, she only wanted to save him. She said that she had never had an older brother in this life. Loban Sharp also ran over. He specifically thanked Letty for healing his father. Ian ran over from a distance, wanting to tell Letty something. Ian used his insightful eyes to see the future. He said that something good would happen in a while. See you next time, Letty. Letty's heart fluttered for Ian again. Back home, Letty heard Shikenka. They were leaving to go to the tomb. Patence told him to speak properly. Don't scare his charge. Patence explained he was just going somewhere to do something. It was to hide the consciousness of those 3 guys more securely. Letty was startled. She thought Patence and the others wouldn't come back. Patence couldn't explain it either. Magical power is the power of the stars. Magical power doesn't just attract humans. Monsters are also naturally drawn to places with strong magical power. 3 great stars have already descended upon Letty's academy. To prevent Letty's academy from becoming a monster's nest, Pattons must remove the residual star power from the land. That task is very troublesome and will take a lot of time. Pattons told her not to worry. He urged Letty to rest well before he returned. Sykinka explained to Letty that his thoughts differed from Pattons's, although he stopped them this time. But there's no guarantee the ending will be different from that time. Sykinka told Letty not to let her guard down until the very end. Even with classes suspended, Loeb Sharp accompanied Letty to study. Duke Seldia arrived at the Ludwig household. Ludwig knew the purpose of his visit. Seldia explained that he came with no ill intentions. Letty was a little scared as Seldia approached. Seldia happily asked Letty if she wanted to marry Jack. Seldia praised his son for being handsome and capable, and he is about to become the next Duke Seldia. Seldia pointed at Letty and told her that his son likes you very much. Ludwig was furious when he heard this. Loeb Sharp blushed and declared that he also wanted to marry Letty. Loeb Sharp's words made the atmosphere even more awkward. A month had passed. Letty still didn't know when they would return. Just then, Pattons appeared. Letty was really happy to see Pattons return safely. Pattons told Letty that Sykinka had gone to find his main body, and he also said he hid those 3 guys in a place that no star could find. In any case, Pattons returned safely to Letty's side. After a month, Letty finally returned to school. A female classmate found Letty. She had heard from her father that the Gallerwell family had suddenly vanished from the face of the earth. Letty didn't understand what she meant. How did they disappear? The classmate told her it wasn't just the servants and knights. Even Duke Gallerwell and Ian de Jangun had all disappeared. Upon learning this, Letty broke into the Gallerwell estate that night. Pattons told her there was a faint human presence inside. On a table in the room, Letty found the mirror she used to communicate with Ian. Letty looked at the mirror and remembered what Ian said to her. The words he said were even engraved on the mirror. The reason why Ian lived. Letty held the mirror, unable to let go for a long time. Time flew by, and 6 years passed. Letty Ohm is now the most beautiful and powerful existence in the academy. Lily has also grown into a young woman, 1 year younger than Letty. She comes to the greenhouse every day to chat with Letty. More than chatting, she wants to play with Letty, but Letty's flowers in the greenhouse haven't been cared for yet, so she had to refuse Lily. Lily couldn't help but sigh. With such a beautiful face, yet she stays in the greenhouse all day. Because Letty takes care of plants every day, the botany department wants to recruit Letty, but the magic department disagrees. So the 2 departments argue every day. Lily asked her to participate in the Xelpin competition. They would allow Letty to double major in botany. The Xelpin competition is the most prestigious magic competition in which all academies on the continent and within the Laksha Empire participate. The Royal Academy, where Letty is, has always been the runner-up. They can never win against Udic Academy, located on the continent. Lily also hopes she will participate in the competition. Letty was worried about the Xelpin competition. Participating would take over 6 months. What if the plants withered and died? Pattons told her not to worry. In fact, Letty wasn't just growing plants. It was also a means to protect the academy. Since Letty has been cultivating them for 6 years, she can slowly let go. Moreover, in these 6 years, with Pattons' help, her cultivated strength was not to be underestimated. Persuaded by Pattons, Letty agreed to participate in the Xelpin competition. Lily provided Letty with a piece of information. That is, at Udic Academy, there's a highly skilled student in the swordsmanship department. The most amazing thing about that swordsman is his face. He's said to be super handsome. Lily said something that shocked Letty. That is, he has golden hair and eyes. At this time, Dewin and Philip were outside, practicing their swordsmanship on monsters. Philip told Dewin that Miss Letty had sent a letter. Philip wanted to take a break, could only bring up Miss Letty. Philip told Dewin in full detail that Letty was participating in this Xelpin competition. Dewin was worried that Letty would get hurt in the competition. Philip told him, why not take this rare opportunity to invite His Grace, the Duke, to watch the competition together? Dewin thought about it. If he went to watch, he wouldn't be able to take care of Letty. Previously, Jed had received a letter from Letty wanting to invite Dewin to be an instructor, but Dewin threw it in the trash. After remembering, Dewin wanted to go back and retrieve the letter from the trash. Sibesman learned that Letty was going to participate in the Xelpin competition and seemed very unhappy. Seldia also opposed Letty participating in the competition. Ludwig trusted his daughter. He advised her not to push herself too hard. Letty was very happy that her father supported her. The other 2 dukes were no longer worried about her either. They all congratulated Letty and wished her victory in the competition. As the window for magical communication Morgan was exhausted. Ludwig said he would contact her later. Letty didn't expect them to be so worried about her and felt very comforted. If it weren't for Letty Ohm's ability, they wouldn't have lived to be 40. So everyone cherishes Letty. From the Duke's words, Pattons also mentioned the blonde man. He wondered if it could be Ian, who had been missing for many years. A woman was calling out to Morgan, telling him that the task he requested was completed. Morgan picked up a broken mirror. The woman didn't expect that Morgan would prefer this ornament over a sword. The woman told Morgan that a very famous person was participating in the Xelpan competition this time. On the way to the Xelpan competition, Letty's convoy encountered an attack by monsters. Letty's strength was formidable, and she was the first to take down a huge centipede. The others were also fending off the monster attacks. Suddenly, a woman was targeted by a monster in front of her. Letty wanted to help. Morgan suddenly appeared and slayed the monster. When Letty saw this man, she thought he was Ian. But Pattons told Letty that this person was not Ian at all. Suddenly, another monster appeared. Morgan used magic to counter and kill it. Seeing the man use magic, Letty also felt that he probably wasn't Ian. The aura of a star fragment appeared at Letty's feet, but the star fragment she picked up was black. Pattons told Letty to inspect it quickly, but Letty instead asked the man if it was his. Pattons was speechless, because star fragments have no owner. Whoever picks it up becomes its owner. The man smiled and said it wasn't his. Letty saw that the man's smile was very similar to Ian's. The woman ran over to thank Letty for her help. Letty recognized them as students from Utic Academy. Letty invited them to travel together and would send a messenger to notify Utic. Morgan agreed to Letty's proposal and mentioned Letty's name during the conversation. Letty was very surprised. She had never told them her name. The reason Morgan knew Letty's name was because she was too famous at the Royal Academy, and the beautiful, silver-haired maiden who looks like an angel with outstanding magical abilities as well. Such rumors had spread to Utic. Morgan recognized at first glance that she was Ludwig's daughter. Letty was a little shy from the praise. Morgan brushed his hair back and expressed his gratitude to her. Facing the man's handsome face, Letty couldn't help but blush. At night, Letty found that Morgan's tent flap was open, so she curiously walked closer to observe. Inside the tent, Morgan was telling the person on the other end that the plan to attack the Royal Academy participants with monsters had failed. Letty wore a shocked expression. In the end, Letty still escorted them to Utic. Letty also had her own plans in mind. At this time, the teachers at Utic were berating Morgan for failing the mission. But Morgan didn't care at all, because he only cared about whether Letty lived or died. After that, he left without looking back. But after Morgan left, the men were resentful. Because Morgan had Principal Hanniban's backing, they didn't dare to criticize him to his face. This man was Sykenka. At that time, he told Ian a shocking secret. That is, if Ian dies, Letty will also die. It turned out that Dita, the goddess of time, had reversed time, tying their two fates together. And this was Letty Ohm's second life. Ian will die at the age of 16, and Letty Ohm at 19. So the two of them will be pursued by death. When Dita reversed time, only the two of them died. Everyone else was still alive. The previous generation of Espers, they did not fight against fate. They only received treatment, so they were not affected. But Ian must live on. Only if he lives will Letty Ohm not die. After that, Sykenka directly took away all of Ian's abilities, completely turning him into another person, so that death would no longer seek him out. So he is no longer Ian. As long as he and Letty can completely break free from the shackles of fate and successfully pass the age of 19. Ian knew it clearly in his heart, but the moment he saw her, he really wanted to tell her everything. However, in order to survive, Ian must now endure this loneliness by himself. Today is the swordsmanship preliminary match. Morgan is the first contestant. Seeing him, Letty felt an inexplicable flutter in her heart. A man quieted the crowd. The instructor for the swordsmanship exam was about to come out. This time, the swordsmanship instructor was actually D-Win. Ian launched the first attack. D-Win couldn't help but marvel at his strength, but D-Win's was perhaps slightly superior. Their swordsmanship was evenly matched. Letty cheered for D-Win from the stands. D-Win's attacks grew fiercer, but Ian, right in front of him, threw away the sword in his hand. D-Win thought he was looking down on him. After D-Win announced Morgan's elimination. Because D-Win, as an instructor, didn't go easy at all. The number of people who passed the exam for the whole day was 0. Letty found her brother, wanted to talk to him. A man told Letty that she was not allowed to chat with the instructor. Letty was a little disappointed, but Di-Win gave her a gift. Engraved on it were the 2 words for family. Seeing Letty receive the gift, Di-Win left. Letty was very happy to see the gift from her brother. 2 people saw Ludwig meeting with the 2 of them and thought they had used despicable means to eliminate Morgan. So they planned how to get revenge on them. Di-Win found Ian, wanting to ask him something. He asked if Ian thought he was ridiculous. Ian explained that it was just his own lack of skill, nothing more. Di-Win didn't ask any more questions and left. Ian thought Di-Win had discovered his true identity. That aura was clearly Ian to Jang Ungaller. Well, Sibesman told Ludwig that he had a very strange dream. He dreamed of seeing someone, a woman with silver hair. She asked him to his face if he could go back to the past to change the mistakes he had made, and told Ludwig that the woman looked a lot like Letty, but her aura was completely different. On the day of the first part of the semi-final exam, Ian was playing with a cat. Letty noticed that he was really similar to Ian. Pattons told Letty to snap out of it. 2 suspicious figures appeared behind Letty, so they grabbed Letty, trying to take her away. Professor Lambla used a spell to make them unconscious. Letty was just about to ask him how he appeared here. Professor Lambla didn't answer, but instead turned into a kitten. Ian held up the professor to make him listen to Letty finish her words. Afterwards, the professor used magic to bind them together with magic handcuffs. The professor told them if they wanted to get rid of the handcuffs, they should go to the examination hall, where someone could help them unlock them. The professor didn't expect Ian to chase after him while carrying Letty. The professor thought Morgan was a madman. Suddenly, a crazed horse appeared in front of them and charged towards Ian and the others. Ian used his 1.8-meter-long legs to kick the horse over. They lost the professor, and more people were staring at them. Letty discovered that Morgan didn't seem like a bad person. Ian felt that staying with Letty like this seemed quite nice. But Ian had promised Principal Hannibin. Hannibin promised Ian they wouldn't harm Letty. He also made Ian promise to abide by the agreement. He wanted Ian not only to win the championship, but also to gain fame. Ian was also suspicious of Hannibin, wondering if he was planning something. He had to keep his distance from him until he found out the truth. Ian told her he had a dagger on him and cut the handcuffs. Just then, Di-Win saw them together and was very displeased. Letty wanted to explain, but Di-Win wouldn't listen at all and told Morgan to come and spar with him. Letty asked him, "Aren't instructors forbidden from meeting privately with contestants?" She found that her brother had broken a rule, so she should be able to talk to him privately about coming to the Xelpen competition as an instructor. Di-Win told her this wasn't a private meeting, but an official exam. Right now, Di-Win just wanted Morgan to stop getting close to his sister. Di-Win felt he wasn't all talk. His swordsmanship was real. Ian thought that he must win here against Di-Win to first fulfill his promise to Principal Hannibin. Di-Win gave him no chance. The attacks from both sides were extremely fierce. Letty was just about to stop them. To Letty's surprise, Di-Win threw away the sword in his hand and let Morgan pass the semifinals. At this time, Lily was at the academy, looking after the flowers Letty was raising. Jack discovered Lily and helped her water the flowers. They passed by the principal's office and found the principal discussing something with Professor Lambla. Professor Lambla stated that he would keep monitoring Letty. The principal didn't understand, thinking he was still hung up on the trivial matters from 6 years ago. Professor Lambla told him that during the surveillance, it seemed that the people from Utic wanted to make a move on Letty. The principal became a little agitated. Professor Lambla also explained that the expressions on those people's faces were as if they were mesmerized by something. Upon learning this, Jack immediately decided to head to the Xelpen competition. Lily told him not to be impulsive, thinking there might be a mistake. The people from Utic barely knew Letty. Why would they target her? Jack felt that no matter what, he had to go protect Letty. Seeing his persistence, Lily didn't stop him. At this moment, Letty was looking at the doll her brother gave her, thinking it would talk to her. Letty wondered if her brother was being threatened. Pattons thought Letty didn't understand her brother at all. Letty felt she couldn't let it be. She had to find her brother and have a good talk. Pattons didn't understand. Didn't she say she was looking for Di-Win? Why did she come to the Utic dorms? Letty felt that even if she got close to Di-Win, he would definitely avoid her. She thought Morgan interacted with Di-Win often. Letty pushed open Morgan's door, only to find the room empty. Just then, Morgan returned from outside and found his room door open. Letty and the others hid behind the table. Suddenly, Letty's face flushed. It turned out Morgan was taking off his clothes. Letty's face turned bright red from watching. Suddenly, the bundle Pattons was carrying dropped and landed at Ian's feet. Ian seemed to know that Letty had entered his room. Letty deactivated her invisibility. She didn't expect Morgan's perception to be so strong. Ian asked her why she came here. Ian suddenly realized his clothes weren't closed. Now, Letty's mind was filled with Morgan's 8-pack abs. Letty turned around, wanting to ask Morgan for a favor. Previously, DeWin had discussed with the competition organizers whether he could intervene in his sister's exam. The man felt that intervening in the exam was fabricating the results. DeWin explained he just wanted his sister to have the authority to suspend the match during the competition. At this moment, Ian came to DeWin, telling him he had found a squirrel. DeWin realized, isn't this the squirrel his sister wanted to raise? Morgan said he wasn't sure either. If they followed the flowery footprints, they should be able to find the answer. DeWin thought his sister had fallen into a bag of flour. DeWin anxiously opened the door. Letty told him that this time he must talk to her. But DeWin seemed reluctant to tell Letty what was going on. DeWin didn't understand what kind of relationship he had with Letty. Letty wanted to grab her brother to have a good talk with him, but DeWin pushed Letty away. Letty lost her balance and bumped into a cabinet, and flour fell on her. Letty told him if he didn't want to talk, then he should never talk for the rest of his life. DeWin knew he had made a big mistake, but he didn't know how to explain it to Letty. Morgan said he should be leaving too. DeWin grabbed Morgan, thinking how could things have turned out this way if not for him. Professor Lambla infiltrated the principal's office at Utic Academy. Professor Lambla discovered a document on the desk. Written on it was a prayer to the god of time. At this moment, DeWin was lying on his bed, feeling very dejected. DeWin felt that Letty seemed extremely angry this time. DeWin imagined Letty growing old and still being unwilling to speak to him. What to do? At this moment, someone outside had a letter for Instructor DeWin. Philip asked him if he wanted to read it. DeWin had no energy at all, but he still reached out and took the letter. It was a letter of forgiveness, specially written by Letty. At this time, a teacher from Utic was chasing a squirrel. Ian realized it was Pattons. Ian immediately let go. He told the teacher behind him that his hand had slipped. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck the tree next to Ian. Ian told the teacher it was best to hide first. Then, a cleaning worker was about to fall from the roof. Ian didn't expect that damned death would actually threaten other people's lives. It was because of this that Ian couldn't stay by Letty's side. Suddenly, someone cast a wind spell and saved a man. It was Letty who had rushed over. Seeing her smile, Ian couldn't help but feel a little shy. The two chatted for a bit. Suddenly, Ian discovered the ornament he carried was gone. So he hurriedly said goodbye to Letty and went to look for the lost ornament. It turned out Ian's ornament had been accidentally taken by Pattons. Letty asked him what on earth had happened. It turned out Pattons' hand had slipped and a ring accidentally flew out. Then he was chased all over by a man. And halfway through, it got entangled with Morgan's ornament. Letty decided to return this item to Morgan because the ornament was very important to him. Suddenly, the ornament in Letty's hand lit up. It seemed to be playing some memory scenes. Inside were scenes of a maid and Ian. The maid asked, "Don't you need to tell Letty?" But Ian refused because he couldn't tell Letty. Only by leaving her could she live. The end of the memory was Ian's longing for her. At this moment, Ian was searching for something. Letty ran over and gave him his ornament. Ian was very emotional upon receiving it. Suddenly, Letty wiped the dirt from his face, asking if it was so important that he got his face all dirty. Ian felt this thing was more important than his life. Suddenly, it started to rain. Ian took Letty's hand and led her away. Meanwhile, Professor Lambla was hit by magic and passed out. It was the principal of Utic who had discovered Lambla's presence. But Hannibin didn't seem to plan on killing him because he felt he could be useful. Lily was crying and begging her brother to find Jack because Jack had told her he would write to her. Lily thought something might have happened to him and wanted her brother to look for him. Loebensharp thought that guy was an Esper, so there was no need to worry at all. Loebensharp recalled Lily's worried expression and wondered if she liked Jack. Before Loebensharp could go look for him, Jack had already found him. The child introduced himself as Kaishong, a great star possessing the power of a ferocious beast. In other words, he was an ancestor of Jack's family. Loebensharp thought he was a liar who was just bragging. Kaishong complained, If it weren't for the mistake made 6 years ago, when the monsters invaded the Royal Academy, the 3 great stars were stopped by Letty. Loban Sharp was still a bit skeptical. Kai Shang extended his hand, telling him he could awaken the instinct hidden deep within his body. Loban Sharp found that he hadn't used his ability, yet it was activated. Kai Shang stated that he was neither a liar nor an enemy, and told them someone wanted to kidnap Letty. Jack said they were gathering espers to retrieve the great star's main body. As long as they kidnap Letty, all the espers will gather. Loban Sharp didn't expect they would dare to come up with such a plan. Kai Shang told them they would deal with those guys in 3 months. It turned out that in 3 months, they would be on their way from the Western continent. They planned to make a move on Letty when the Xelpan competition officially began. Loban Sharp seemed to understand it was a strategy of capturing the king to defeat the bandits. Loban Sharp felt it was necessary to contact Dewin. At this moment, Letty was blaming herself for getting Ian involved. Pattons comforted her, saying there were only 3 years left. As long as she could evade death for 3 years, she could welcome a new destiny. Pattons told her that the owner of that ring was a professor who always bullied Ian to Jangyun. He told Letty not to return that star fragment to him. Ian asked Letty why she was sitting here. Letty explained she was just thinking about him. Letty said she hoped he would be happy in the future. Hearing this, Ian didn't feel grateful. Instead, he thought Letty's affection for Morgan far surpassed her affection for Ian. Letty was once Ian's whole world. What did Ian mean to Letty? Ian thought that all his hard work was to save Letty. If only now, because the time spent with her was too happy, he wanted to give up everything and beg her to remember. Ian confessed that he was the one who released the mushroom monster that attacked them on the way to Xelpan, and declared that he was her enemy. Letty suddenly detected the aura of a great star. Letty suddenly hugged Ian. She told him it didn't matter what kind of person he was, and that she would never hate him. After explaining, Letty said she had something to do and left Ian first. Unexpectedly, Letty had actually said what he wanted to hear. Many monsters appeared near the competition grounds. They were all attracted by the power of the great stars. Pattons wasn't sure which star was attracting them. Loban Sharp contacted Dewin using a projection and told him that red spiders would appear in the competition and that Letty liked them. After learning this, Dewin closed the connection. He suddenly threw a knife and stabbed a spider on the wall. It was Jack. Jack told Dewin there were enemies outside. Dewin waved his hand, not wanting to get involved in such matters. Suddenly, Jack seemed to have become a different person, thinking Dewin was simply stupid. Kai Shang spoke some taunting words to Dewin. Dewin's face suddenly contorted. He said he didn't care. If his enemies made a move on his sister, he would make them prepare to give up their lives. Kai Shang thought Dewin's ability to control his breath was really troublesome. Jack suddenly transformed into a giant beast. At this moment, Dewin was temporarily suppressed. Letty appeared and told Jack and the others to stop. Jack's consciousness began to resist Kai Shang, and then he fled from the scene in front of them. Pattons sensed the great star on Jack. He told Letty to chase after him quickly. Dewin knew, and Letty told him that something was wrong with that Seldia fellow. Monsters were still continuously invading the competition grounds. Letty told her brother to go to the grounds and protect everyone. Dewin saw that Jack had reverted from his beast form and should be out of danger. Letty helped up the fainted Jack. But the fainted Jack was indeed Kai Shang. Pattons questioned him on how he escaped. Kai Shang explained that at that time, a powerful force suddenly burst out of the bottle. After waking up, he ran to the human world and saw a temple dedicated to the god of time. Pattons felt that humans have always served all sorts of gods, so it might be a different one. Kai Shang told him the name of that cult. It was called Dita. Pattons was stunned. They even knew the name of that goody two-shoes. Kai Shang also didn't know how they learned this name, but what was certain was that that being had already awakened and was affecting humans. Kai Shang told Pattons that the god who caused the boundary between the human world and the tomb to collapse was Dita. All along, the reason the human world could maintain its current state was because humans had forgotten about gods like us. In other words, the more the human world forgets things related to the tomb, the more stable the boundary between the two worlds will be. But if one of the stars is remembered by humans again and once more becomes a god they revere, if it gets more serious, the two worlds will eventually collapse by merging. Pattons was still a bit skeptical, wondering if he had experienced something during this time. Kaishang's power was depleted, and he fell into a coma. Letty was very happy to see Jack open his eyes and wake up. Jack held Letty's hand tightly, saying he missed her very much. Letty felt the same way. Jack revealed why he came and what happened on the way, including meeting Kaishang. Letty also found it strange, as she hadn't seen Professor Lambla for the past few days. Suddenly, Jack sensed something. He looked out the window, explaining that he had just felt someone's gaze. Letty couldn't help but marvel at how sharp his senses were. Letty recognized Ian outside the window. Jack sensed that they seemed to know each other. Letty thought about how perceptive Jack was. If they continued to talk, he might discover Ian's true identity. At night, Dewin was patrolling with Philip and discovered a mysterious person in a black robe. Dewin grabbed him and questioned what he was doing. Suddenly, the mysterious person self-combusted. Dewin and Philip were shocked. Dewin found Letty and asked her if she knew who Morgan was. Letty explained that, of course, he was a student from the swordsmanship department, not only handsome, but also very strong. Dewin continued to ask if she had ever seen a dark aura on him. Letty indeed thought that was impossible. But inside, Letty was already in a panic. Dewin had only mentioned his name, and his sister became so flustered. He wondered if she liked Morgan. Dewin thought she probably didn't know that guy was Ian. As long as she was fine, Dewin didn't plan to stay. Letty wanted her brother to wait, wanting to help him purify. Dewin told her not to bother with unimportant things and to eat quickly. Letty sighed that her brother was really something. If he was worried, he should just say so. He was so untruthful. She asked Pattons if he didn't think so too. Pattons told her that guy still remembered how she looked when she fainted. Suddenly, Pattons seemed to think of something. Pattons told Letty to go find Ian immediately. She had to see the memories in that ornament again. Letty found Shamad and asked him where Ian had gone. Shamad didn't know where Ian went either. Letty asked him what these things on the ground were. It turned out Shamad was from a mechanics department. Letty had heard he became the champion of the mechanics department. Shamad was very modest, saying his level was just that of an ordinary person and couldn't compare to them. Letty thought she was also an ordinary person. Letty wanted to ask Shamad for help, if he could make one of those video devices for her. She wanted to give them to the people around her. Shamad told her to write down the desired shape or materials. Letty asked him if he often made ornaments for Morgan. Shamad remembered that before coming to the competition, he suddenly brought a cracked piece of glass and earnestly begged him for help. After he helped him fix it, he was as happy as if he owned the whole world. Even now, he would occasionally stare at that ornament without blinking. Letty guessed that the item might contain memories of him and his lover. Shamad thought that since he was so handsome, how could he have never dated anyone? Perhaps whenever he saw that ornament, he would remember a lover who had passed away. Hearing that she was Ian's lover, Letty's face turned red as a ball. Shamad saw Letty's shy appearance and suddenly realized, does Letty like Morgan too? Thinking carefully, the two of them had even walked around the city holding hands before. Shamad thought they were dating and had said something he shouldn't have. He quickly explained that he probably just likes the ornament itself. After all, it was a heartfelt gift that he had carefully made. It's probably easier to be moved by something like that. Shamad also explained that he had known him for 6 years, and this was the first time he had asked for such a thing. Letty didn't expect they had known each other for 6 years. She thought it was Shamad who accompanied Ian through his most difficult times, all during the period she was absent. Letty thought that they had been apart for so many years. She began to think she was being too greedy. Shamad told Ian that Letty had come looking for him today. When Ian learned Letty was looking for him, he planned to go himself. Shamad told him Letty would come again at night. Seeing Ian's expression, Shamad was 100% sure that something was developing between them. Then he shared with Ian what Letty had requested, and that Letty really liked his dagger and ornament. Ian continued to ask him what color Letty liked. Shamad asked him if he liked Letty. Ian agreed without hesitation. Shamad didn't expect him to be so direct and asked when Ian planned to confess. But when Ian heard about confessing, his mood instantly plummeted. He told Shamad that he would not confess to her. After saying that, he went out to find Letty. Ian asked her if she needed any help. Letty wanted to borrow the ornament on his sword, thinking that if it was inconvenient for Ian, he could refuse. Ian smiled and said of course he could lend it to her. Letty expressed her thanks and left in a hurry. Ian wanted to escort her, but Letty said she wanted to go back by herself. Ian suspected that Letty might have discovered something. Philip told Dewin that the suspicious person who burned himself before some guys on the continent. If they get caught, they just end their own lives. And this matter is related to the principle of Udic. And Morgan is also his dog. Morgan was suddenly attacked by D-Win at the training ground. D-Win thought he was just pretending to be innocent, but actually wanted to stab Letty in the back. Ian said he never thought of stabbing her. D-Win told him to give an explanation. At this moment, Letty was still feeling jealous over Ian. More than that, Letty wanted to know what was special inside the ornament. After saying that, Letty used her magic to activate it. The scene with Ian and the maid appeared again. Pattons told Letty to pause the image. From the image, Pattons told Letty to zoom in on this person's eyes. This person was Sykenka. In his eyes, she saw her appearance from her past life. Letty felt it was very strange. How could she be there? Pattons explained that because of his insightful eyes, Sykenka's eyes reflected what was hidden in the mirror fragment. Letty worried if Ian had also seen her appearance from her past life. Pattons told her that Ian de Jangun's insightful eyes could only distinguish between truth and falsehood in front of him. However, Sykenka's power was on a completely different level. He could not only see the past, but occasionally even the future. Pattons was very confused now. He didn't understand Dita's reason for resurrecting Letty. And Sykenka had actually seen her past life's image from that mirror again. Pattons planned to go to the tomb again to get things clear. Pattons asked him if Sykenka still remembered that time, when Sykenka broke the connection and returned to the tomb. There was only one way to break the connection, and that was to ask the old man living in the tomb for help. That old man had a peculiar hobby. When he broke a connection, he would take a small piece of the soul and collect it. Pattons discovered it at the time, but didn't bother with it. He thought it was just a trivial matter, like plucking a human hair. In short, as long as you have a soul fragment, you can use your own abilities more easily. That is, the search ability. Letty knew Pattons wanted to go to the tomb, but she also wanted to go with Pattons. Letty decided to give up the competition. Learning that his lady was giving up the competition, he felt it was a pity for her. D-Win was helpless. He seemed to be able to understand his sister. D-Win told Letty not to rush. He would find a way for her to go home within a week without having to give up. In the evening, Ian found Letty. Letty returned his ornament to him. Ian was happy just to be able to help her. Letty told him that she was about to leave the competition. Ian was flustered. He grabbed her hand and asked where she was going. Letty said she wanted to say goodbye to him in person. In fact, Letty realized she was jealous over Ian. Letty really liked Ian, but she felt that she wasn't by his side during his most difficult times. Letty felt she was unworthy. Suddenly, Ian burst into tears, not wanting Letty to leave him. Letty saw Ian break down and cry. She was worried that Ian had been acting as the principal's dog just to stay alive. But Ian didn't regret it. Everything Ian did to survive was for Letty. Ian began to suspect that the things he did had become reasons for her to hate him. It would be better to give up everything. He originally planned so that Death could never find Letty, but in the end, he might miss her himself. After Death truly leaves, will anyone still be by his side? A voice in Ian's heart kept urging him to confess to Letty, to tell her the whole truth. In the end, Ian still didn't say it. Instead, he gave Letty a hug. It was because he loved her that he had come this far. Letty asked him why he told her not to go, asking if he knew where she was going. Ian shook his head. He just felt as if Letty wouldn't come back. Letty thought Ian was both gentle and kind, and felt a little reluctant to leave. Suddenly, Letty kissed Ian on the cheek. Letty softly told Ian that what he was worried about wouldn't happen. She would definitely come back then, and for his sake, Letty would also come back alive. That was the vow she once made to him. Ian understood Letty's feelings and gave his ornament to Letty, telling her she must return safely. A week later, seeing that her brother still had no solution, Letty planned to sneak away by herself. As soon as she went out, she ran into her brother. D-Win knew she wouldn't just sit still, so he handed her the solution he had. On it was the official assignment for the competition. It required student Tirais to cross the Rum Desert, turn back after reaching the end, complete the entire process within 3 weeks, and pull out the KSEL flag planted at the end of the desert. This was the optimal solution D-Win had come up with for her. Letty didn't expect that her brother, who was usually so worried about her, would actually give her such a difficult task. D-Win knew what she was thinking right now, so he didn't plan on letting her go alone. Loban Sharp also arrived. Letty was very happy to see him too. Loban Sharp said he could use his ability to freeze the road surface, allowing the carriage to slide and arrive quickly. Letty thought Jack would also go with them. D-Win told him to go first and monitor the cult that would appear in the desert, and told him to throw the rest away if he encountered any accidents. Dewin patted his sister's head, telling her to contact him through the window if anything happened over there, so he wouldn't worry. Seeing her brother go to such lengths, Letty showed a brilliant smile. Afterwards, with Loban Sharp's help, the carriage was moving at high speed. Letty thought this speed was really great. At this speed, they would arrive soon. Letty was worried if Loban Sharp's ability would cause him to undergo a tribulation. Although Loban Sharp didn't know what happened with her at the competition, he believed she must have something more important than the competition. He thought just being able to help was enough to make him happy. Letty thanked brother Loban Sharp from the bottom of her heart. Loban Sharp's heart instantly started pounding. Loban Sharp felt this was a good opportunity. Because Dewin and Jack weren't around, no one could interfere with them. This time, he must confess his feelings to Letty. At night, Letty told him, would that star suddenly awaken tonight and occupy his body again? Loban Sharp realized Letty was worried about him and instantly started his specialty, daydreaming, and said his awkward confession lines, only to have his fantasy forcefully interrupted. Then he was too shy to know what to say. Loban Sharp was finally about to confess his feelings for Letty. Suddenly, a sound shattered Loban Sharp's plan. Letty told him to be careful. Behind them was a dragon-shaped monster. Loban Sharp used his Esper ability to freeze the monster. He was very angry. It was all its fault for ruining the atmosphere between him and Letty. Back home, Letty threw her arms around her father. Anna and Loban Sharp saw this scene and smiled with relief. Letty took out the scabbard ornament and gave it to her father and explained that a friend had made it. Ludwig was very pleased that his daughter not only made good friends but also thought of him, her father. Jed told them there was something very important to report to the head of the family. Their informant placed in the ducal house had learned that Principal Hannibin was a follower of a strange religion. Their purpose was unclear, but they were always lurking around the young lady with ill intentions. Jed told him that there was also a very familiar person among them. It was Professor Lambla Ismety, who had taught the young lady at the Royal Academy. Ludwig told Jed to continue investigating. No matter who the enemy was, Ludwig would absolutely not let them off. Tonight was the night of the full moon, and also the day Letty and Pattons would fall into danger. Pattons arrived at the depths of a lake in the tomb and found it was all desert, but it couldn't escape Pattons's detection ability. It was an old man. The old man didn't understand why he kept disturbing a star living a quiet life. Pattons came this time to solve the matter and would leave after it was handled. He asked if he had Psychinka's soul fragment. The old man said no. Pattons was shocked. The old man explained it had been stolen. Just as Pattons was questioning the old man, a mysterious person appeared behind him. Pattons turned to look with a terrified expression. Letty, waiting outside, finally saw Pattons appear. Letty asked why he took so long and if he had found the soul fragment, but Pattons didn't answer. Letty was confused and asked again. Pattons turned into a squirrel and told her something had happened in the tomb. He told Letty he needed time to think now and planned to tell her everything later. Letty was a little confused, but didn't feel it was right to ask. Letty prepared to leave the ducal estate. Ludwig and Jed were very reluctant to see her go. Loban Sharp declared in front of the Duke that he would definitely deliver his daughter safely to Anna. He teased Letty that he could also help her during the competition. Letty saw that her father's dark aura had accumulated a lot again. Letty hugged her father, wanted to say a final goodbye. During the hug, Letty used purification magic to try and heal her father. Suddenly, Letty felt a sharp pain and fainted. Ludwig looked at the daughter in his arms, who had suddenly become very weak. He discovered his daughter was coughing up blood and had passed out. The Pattons and Anna's arms jumped out and actually transformed into a woman who looked exactly like Letty. Ludwig didn't understand who she was. The woman told him she was a god and was going to take Letty away. Jed drew his sword and charged at the woman, but suddenly found his body completely unable to move. The woman asked Ludwig if he wanted to go back to the past, back to the day the Duchess died. After speaking, the woman vanished before everyone's eyes. Immediately after, the fainted Letty also disappeared. Ludwig and everyone else were filled with horror. At this moment, Ian was still fantasizing about Letty returning safely when Dewin found him. wanting to go somewhere else to have a good talk with him. Ian thought it was the same no matter where they talked. Dwyn was furious and revealed Morgan's true identity. At the same time, death also came for Ian. The lightning striking from the sky was all blocked by Dwyn's powerful aura. Ian didn't understand what had happened. Dwyn told him that Letty had disappeared. It was that squirrel that turned into a silver-haired woman. Dwyn said if it was Hannibin's doing, he would kill Ian and the others on the spot. Ian told him the squirrel by Letty's side was the great Star Patents. He told Dwyn that the one who took Letty was the silver-haired woman he mentioned, the star who created Letty Ohm. It was the first time Dwyn had heard of such a thing. Ian told Dwyn that if Hannibin wanted Letty's life, he would kill him first without hesitation. At this time, Principal Hannibin was being interrogated by people from the ducal estate. Ian also went to find Hannibin at this moment. When Hannibin saw Ian arrive, he thought he was here to save him. Ian grabbed him by the neck and demanded to know where Letty was. Learning that lord had succeeded, Hannibin revealed a sinister smile. He immediately took out a bottle of poison and drank it all. Finally, he committed suicide in front of everyone. The injured Professor Lambla emerged from the shadows. At this moment, Jack, Dwyn, and the others had no countermeasures for Letty's sudden disappearance. Loban Sharp blamed himself for not protecting Letty properly. Dwyn was furious. Whether the opponent was human or god, he would make them pay the price. But Jack was much calmer. He calmly analyzed and told Dwyn, when they pray, which god's response do they receive? Dwyn planned to find them and interrogate them one by one, no matter how many there were. Professor Lambla thought Dwyn was as reckless as ever. Those present were shocked to see that Professor Lambla was injured. Professor Lambla explained that he was captured by Hannibin and the others, who threatened him to find Letty's whereabouts. When he refused, he was subjected to inhuman abuse. Professor Lambla told Dwyn and the others about their plan. At this time, Letty was imprisoned by Dita in her own space, and inside, she met the similarly imprisoned Sykenka. Sykenka told her that this was the world controlled by Dita. She not only restored Letty's blood-stained body to its former state, but also created this stage for her. This was the dungeon of the Gallowell house. That fear still made Letty's skin crawl, but she was not afraid and instead planned to find a way to escape. Letty had many things she wanted to ask Sykenka, such as how he could see her past and about her life being connected to Ian's. Sykenka told her that the cause of all this was the Duke Gallowell from her past life. One day, Duke Gallowell had a dream. He dreamed that the goddess of time would turn back the world, and that medium was Letty Ohm. Duke Gallowell continuously begged the Dita that had entered her body to return Letty Ohm to him. The Duke said that as long as he could have Letty Ohm until he died, he would offer you and Ian as sacrifices in the time reversed by Dita. Letty had no memory of Dita entering her body. Letty recalled carefully. It was because after she purified Duke Gallowell, she was sick for many days. On the day she woke up, Gallowell told Letty that he had made a deal with a cunning fellow, giving him the you that the him from another timeline should have possessed. But the him in this timeline would never lose Letty Ohm. Letty remembered some things. The reason Letty had memories of her past life was probably because Dita had once entered her body. Of course, Dita had been dormant for a long time in this life. It was only later that Dita spent several happy years at the Ludwig household. Sykenka also explained that the reason he could see her reflected in his eyes was because of Dita's memories that had permeated most of your and Ian Jangun's lives. It was only after Sykenka saw those memories that he understood everything about the past timelines, including what Dita used them for. Letty was confused about what she was going to do. Sykenka told her that Dita could finally obtain Ian and Letty Ohm, these two perfect sacrifices. He also revealed that the human world in her past life was very exciting. The great stars had all found their main bodies and were unleashing their powers freely. Sykenka also had a taste of it in Ian's body. Because Ian's body was too weak, he didn't play for too long. Letty glared fiercely at Sykenka. Sykenka said that the him from that time was a completely different person from who he is now. After that, Dita gave up all pleasure and fell into a deep sleep. This time, she is determined to hold Letty and Ian in the palm of her hand. After all, for a star that wants to become a god, nothing is more effective than receiving a sacrifice. Lottie was very curious why Patton's wasn't mentioned. Sykinka said he was asleep. A year later, Diwin had destroyed one temple after another, but there was still no information about Letty or the bishop. Diwin had no time for despair and wanted to rush to the next temple. When Diwin pushed open the door, he saw Ian. Diwin found this child somewhat familiar. Diwin told his father his identity. Ian bows in greeting to Ludwig. Ludwig sees that the visitor is Ian, who had disappeared for many years, and he is still alive. He feels a hint of relief. Similarly, Ian is also very happy to see the benefactor who once helped him again. Devon says that he had already repaid the favor long ago. He thinks that for someone so young, his acting is quite good. Duke Ludwig mentions Professor Lambla. He asks him why he is living under a different name. Ian says he knows some clues about Tia. Professor Lambla noticed that he was always with Miss Tia. At that time, he thought Morgan looked like one of his students. Ian does not answer. Professor Lambla does not insist. He speaks up, saying that seeing Ian grow into an adult makes him very relieved. Professor Lambla thinks that his journey must have been very difficult. Ian reveals that his and Tia's lives are connected. If one dies, the other will also die. Ludwig is shocked, but as long as Ian, is alive, it means Tia is safe and sound. Ludwig learns that his daughter is still alive, and his worried heart is put at ease. He is very grateful to Ian for telling him the whole story. Afterwards, Ian tours the Duke's mansion and asks Jade about Lottie's life here, and he also discovers the mirror placed in the library. Lottie had kept their only means of communication from that time, so perfectly preserved. He misses Tia very much. Suddenly, Lottie's figure appears in the mirror, but Lottie is currently screaming in a dungeon. After Dita woke up, Sykinka made a deal with him. He asked Sykinka to put the other stars into a glass bottle. In return, he would give him one of the received offerings, which is the Ian of this life. However, his true purpose is to become a god who surpasses all stars. After Sykinka discovered his purpose, he voided the deal and decided to release the stars from the glass bottle. In the end, he only had time to release Kaishong before being locked up by Dita. It doesn't matter if he's locked up here for hundreds of years, because what stars have most is time. Sykinka sees her persistence and decides to help her after all. He also harbors a dislike for Dita. Lottie asks him if they're in a crack in time, where the flow of time is different from the human world. Sykinka explains that a few short minutes here are equal to several years in the human world. Lottie worries that if Dita becomes a god, he will definitely go after Ian. When that time comes, Lottie must be by his side to help him. Sykinka thinks she wants to return to the human world, just to save Ian. Is that all? This makes Sykinka a little confused. But then again, as long as Lottie is alive, it means Ian is also safe. Besides, Dita needs to receive praise for at least 100 years to become a god, even if the flow of time is different. That much time shouldn't have passed yet. Sykinka comforts her and says that if she listens obediently, he will show her something interesting. Sykinka uses his power to bring her to Dita's collection room. It turns out these mirrors can show what is happening in the human world, meaning from this place, one can watch the human world. Lottie asks if they can only watch and not enter. Sykinka tells her not to dream. Only Dita can travel freely through them. Suddenly, a sneeze is heard from behind them. It turns out to be the trapped Patents. Lottie sees Patents and rushes over like a mad person. Sykinka is helpless and tells her that besides Dita, no one can pass through. Suddenly, Lottie disappears from in front of Sykinka. At this moment, Patents sees his contractor falling from the sky and is also extremely shocked. Lottie sees Patents as if seeing her own big brother and is so emotional she's about to cry. Patents excitedly runs to comfort Lottie, and in front of the old man, he praises his contractor for being amazing. Lottie asks him where this is. Has Patents been here all this time? Patents is also helpless, but that is indeed the case. This is inside the tomb. It is a space that belongs only to Dita. The only exit to the outside world is that mirror. So this place is also called the Tomb of the Stars. If Dita won't let him out, Patents still has a way. It turns out Patents' method is to possess Lottie's body. The old man praises him for thinking of such a clever method. Hearing the old man's praise, Patents can't help but feel proud. Just as Patents' hand reaches in, some kind of rejection occurs and sends Patents flying. Patents didn't expect that even this wouldn't work, thinking Dita is truly meticulous. Sykinka grabs Lottie's hand and tells her to come out quickly. He is also very lonely over there. Lottie knows that not much time has passed over there. Lottie suddenly realizes she can communicate with Sykenka on the other side, without any barriers. This means, if part of Lottie's body passes through the mirror, the time on both sides will synchronize. Lottie thinks maybe she can use this. Patience doesn't want Lottie to leave him. Lottie plans to go to the library, to find that mirror in the library. That way, she can contact her father. The old man says he's been abandoned. Lottie immediately replies that she hasn't abandoned him, and will come to save Patience, and will rescue him too. Patience is very proud, because Lottie is incredibly cool right now. Lottie tells Sykenka to find another mirror, the one she and Ian used to communicate as children. Sykenka didn't expect that they actually used a surveillance mirror to chat. Does she also cast a communication spell on it? Lottie finds a similar mirror, but it's a broken one. Sykenka points to a mirror in the distance, very similar to the one in her hand. Sykenka knows why. You were able to chat using the mirrors, because these two mirrors face each other. But for two people bound together by death, to have their mirrors coincidentally facing each other, could this be fate? Lottie sees Ian in the mirror, with someone who looks very similar to him. Sykenka recognizes him at a glance. This is the high priest of the cult of Dita. Sykenka complains about Ian, although he doesn't have a discerning eye now. Mistaking someone for another is too ridiculous. Lottie wants to say a few words, but is afraid Ian won't believe her. Suddenly, Sykenka senses something. His pupils tremble. Sykenka pushes Lottie into the mirror, telling her to hide well, that person is coming. Dita finds Sykenka here and asks him where the child is. But Sykenka says that he hasn't seen her since he woke up. Sykenka questions him about his plan to extract the other stars, true forms left in human bodies. Sykenka didn't even know what Dita was planning, and foolishly put the stars into the glass bottle with his own hands. Dita apologizes to him. He had no other choice, because to turn back time, just becoming a god, is not enough. So when the time comes, he will ask for their cooperation. Sykenka doesn't understand what purpose is so important that he would go this far, to turn back time and lock Lodium here. It's also because you don't want to lose her, right? Don't you hope that even if time is reversed, the current Lodium will remain by your side as she is? But even so, will Lodium really thank you? Forcing her to live alone in a world where all the important people no longer exist. Sykenka advises him not to be greedy anymore. But Dita says Lottie is his child, and thinks it's not Sykenka's place to worry about her. 1 year and 5 months ago, it had been 7 months since Lottie went missing. This time, they found her in the desert. Lottie had collapsed right before their eyes. Lottie cried, having finally met her brothers. Shabanlop offers Lottie hot tea, telling her to take her time and tell her story. Lottie is very grateful to brother Shabanlop. She explains that she was captured by Dita and was scared at first, but later she discovered that Dita is a kind star. He cares more than anyone else, and to protect this world, humanity needs the help of Lodium, which is her own power. After spending a long time with Dita, Lottie gradually began to trust him. That's why Lottie decided to personally become the high priestess of the cult of Dita. Shabanlop hears that Lottie has become the high priestess of the cult of Dita. But did the cult of Dita exist before Lottie was taken? Lottie's gaze is a bit evasive. She explains that Dita probably had someone else be the high priest first. She's not too clear on the details. Afterwards, Lottie says she is working for the cult of Dita because she knows everything they do is for the sake of humanity. Then she learned the news that her brothers were destroying temples everywhere. But Devon says they were just looking for her. Lottie explains that she knows all that and thinks there must be some misunderstanding. Afterwards, she realized she had to find them no matter what, to explain things clearly. But because the desert was hotter than expected, she ran out of energy and fainted. If Zeke and the others hadn't found her, she probably wouldn't have made it. Shabanlop comforts Lottie, telling her not to worry anymore and to come home with them. Devon and Zeke are very cautious. They both sense something strange about Tia, because Tia fainted while crossing the desert. But for her, a desert like this should be nothing. And the desert is so vast. Yet she happened to faint on the very path they had to take. This is also suspicious. It seems like a deliberately staged coincidence. Zeke explains that her scent is indeed Tia's. Devon says they should still take her to their father. Anna sees her young lady appear alive before her and is deeply moved. Ludwig strokes Lottie's head, relieved to see she is alive. Father asks Devon if he would like to have a meal together for the first time in a while. But Devon uses being tired as an excuse and goes back to rest. Back in her room, Lottie touches the mirror. With a sinister look, she contacts Dita. It turns out this Lottie is a fake. Her true identity is the temple's high priestess, and she is Agnes. Their conversation is witnessed entirely by Ian. At that time, Agnes was disguised as Lottie, but she was seen through by Ian at a glance. At that moment, Agnes was a little flustered and wondered how he was able to recognize her. The next day, Shabanlop has tears in his eyes. He is very concerned about the fake Lottie's health. Agnes says his negative energy has increased, and so uses her power to purify Shabanlop's negative energy. Agnes wants to purify Devon and the others' negative energy too, but Devon wants to know why she called the three of them so early in the morning. Agnes hopes they will help her manage her religious order. Devon and Zeke are a little confused. Agnes knows that their relationship with the order is very bad, but wasn't it all to find her? Agnes uses a self-pity ploy to beg them. Shabanlop is the first to raise his hand in agreement. Devon asks him if he can use his brain and think. Shabanlop thinks that since Lottie has finally returned, agreeing to her small request is no big deal. Ian steps forward and tells Shabanlop to reconsider. Ian tells them that woman is not Lottie. Ian explains he saw that woman in the hallway last night. She was contacting Dita through a mirror. It seems her name is Agnes, right? Ian saw through her disguise, because when Agnes said his name, Lottie would never call him by his full name. With her disguise exposed, Agnes doesn't bother to act anymore. She admits she is not Tia. Devon is furious that she used his sister's identity and appearance to deceive everyone. Agnes tells them that if they kill her, Tia will also die, and tells Devon to do it quickly if he's going to. Seeing he doesn't dare, Agnes mocks him for being a coward. Agnes had intended to use this warm atmosphere to connect with them. This time it's not a respectful request, but a naked threat. Since then, Agnes has been under house arrest by the Duke for threatening Lottie, but she can still be arrogant and domineering. This is all because she's relying on Lodium. Agnes and Lottie are the same kind of existence. She also has all the elements that make up Tia Lisa. Her previous life was just as terrible. Afterwards, she was cold and hungry, and eventually followed Dita. And she is extremely jealous of Tia Lisa. While she herself could only live a miserable life, she tells Ian that if he wants, she can play the part of Tia and love you well. Ian just scoffs disdainfully. 1 year and 5 months later, Lottie finally returns to the human world. This was all thanks to Sykenka helping her escape from Dita's control, and she finds that this place seems to belong to a religion. She doesn't know how much time has passed. At this moment, Shabanlop appears in the temple. Lottie finally sees a familiar person again and excitedly calls out Brother Shabanlop. Shabanlop, having been emotionally deceived by Agnes, now grits his teeth at her, so he uses magic to warn her not to come closer. Lottie is frightened and backs away repeatedly, tremblingly calling out Brother Shabanlop. Shabanlop is furious and warns her again while shouting Agnes's name. He leaves after uttering harsh words. Lottie sees how angry he is. She wants to know what Agnes did to him. Lottie encourages herself to go back and ask her father for help. Now Lottie doesn't know how to make everyone believe her. The road back seems to be very difficult. Ian suddenly grabs Lottie from behind. Seeing that Ian is safe and sound, she is very happy inside. Lottie suddenly remembers the scene in the mirror. It was the scene of Agnes and Ian chatting happily in the library, thinking she's been abandoned. Lottie's head hangs down in disappointment. She can't say a single word. Ian pulls her into his arms, comforting her that he actually knows it's Lottie. Under Ian's comfort, the two hold each other tightly. Shabanlop walks out of the temple at this moment and tells Zeke he needs to go back to the capital. Zeke is confused why he is leaving so suddenly. It turns out Shabanlop can't stand Agnes using Lottie to bewitch him. Shabanlop thinks for a moment. The expression just now really seemed like Lottie, but he dismisses the thought. Shabanlop doesn't know where Devon has gone. He hasn't seen him for a long time. At this time, Philip and Devon are discussing how to deal with the expanding forces. If this continues, Dita might really descend upon the human world completely. Philip advises him to stop working for them. Devon rejects Philip's suggestion. He doesn't believe what Agnes says. With Ian and the others attracting her attention, he can act more freely. Zeke explains through Kaishan that the cult of Dita was popular 1,000 years ago. a religion that was popular 1,000 years ago, means that it must have declined once. Devon wants to find the root cause, to completely destroy the cult of Dita. Suddenly, Agnes appears. Devon and Philip go on alert. Agnes says she just came to warn them. Suddenly, Agnes reveals a sinister smile and says that this world will become her property. She tells them they will forget themselves, forget everyone they have lost completely, and finally, revere her with all their hearts. Then she takes out a mirror and disappears from in front of Devon and the others. Devon remains unfazed by their provocation, because whether she is a god or whatever, Devon will take it on. Ian explains to Lottie the reason why they are working at the temple. Lottie didn't expect that while she was away. So many things had happened. Lottie asks him how much time has passed. Ian says about 2 years. But Ian always believed that Lottie would return safely. After all, that was what Lottie had once promised him. Lottie tells him that in 2 years, Morgan is already 19 years old. At 19, Lottie and Ian are the same age. So the 19-year-old she's talking about isn't Morgan, but Ian. Ian, his emotions surging, hugs Lottie tightly. He tells her he will never leave her again. Lottie wants to know why Ian would go against a god for her sake. Ian tells her it's because of love. Lottie asks him if he doesn't like Shamad. Ian doesn't understand why Lottie would say he loves Shamad. Ian doesn't know if there's some misunderstanding, but he tells Lottie that he can't love 2 people at the same time. Ian says the only one he loves is her. Lottie only now realizes that Ian has only ever loved her. Lottie also confesses her feelings to Ian, just as the two are about to kiss. Suddenly, a large hand blocks their way. It's Zeke, who greets Tia. Lottie is a bit embarrassed. Zeke must have seen their affectionate moment, but Zeke hugs Lottie instead, saying he has missed her very much these past 2 years. Lottie gently pats him, saying she missed him too. Ian gets a little jealous and tells Zeke to let go of Lottie. Zeke refuses. Ian asks him if he rushed to the room for something urgent. Suddenly, Zeke gets a headache. Kaishang possesses Zeke's body, afraid that he wouldn't be able to explain clearly. Kaishang explains that the field mice are fleeing. This means disaster is about to strike. Ian and the others ask what disaster. Kaishang tells them Dita is coming soon, so they must prepare a counter-strategy immediately. Kaishang's pupils tremble. Dita has already descended. Kaishang and Zeke collapse to the ground. At this moment, Peyton's is shouting here. The contractor has noticed that he and Morgan are developing quickly. You two are hugging so tightly. Lottie tells him to stop joking and wants to know how they got back into the tomb. Peyton's tells her that Dita brought them here and tells her that Dita is planning something big. Dita knows the flow of time in the tomb is the same as in the human world, so he plans to use the mirror to check the situation. Ian suddenly hugs Lottie and points his sword at the guy in front of them. Peyton's hears him call him guy and becomes furious. Lottie realizes Ian has never seen Peyton's true form. Peyton's tells Lottie not to tell him yet, because being stuck in a tomb for so long is boring him to death. He wants to take this opportunity to warm up.